flick. Could be a proud of course, clear that out a little bit, but I would not push. I was just about to say I would not push through that smoke. No, look, it's all over.
Yokai is deadly on the Phantom. The Guardians doing work and take out in Kello, but Fazi's going to do it, and Luigi going full MSD and goal to bring us to an overtime to at least kind of ruin their aim. But Emphasis with a disgusting defeat the top.
No way!
That's an ace! Oh my god, Emphasis in one ultimate has just put us into series point, ladies and gentlemen!
SC taking us to series point. They look so happy, quite rightfully so. That was the most insane play of the entire night, and it took us to series point. Suspect takes down Empathy. Oh my god, the trays are out thick and fast, and yet again it's just Yokai standing, and Josh comes out on top, leaving Go Next on series point, and that is the potential to be the end of the entire finals if PSZ can't pick it back up. And I think
Canadian with a flash through the power. He's going to the season, just the goal. And Kelly's immediately going to get the Canadian. MSD picking up 2-3 gold as well. The Killjoy is being pushed, it doesn't matter. And Lukey's going to go down.
Go Nexus are your Amazon University esports winners.
Amazing comeback. It looked like all was lost at one point in that final map, but they picked it up. I've seen them looking a little bit dismayed at times, but right now they are looking so happy and so proud, and they have a right to be. What an amazing late game performance, really putting out, digging deep in the trenches and coming out on top, ready to raise that NUEL trophy.
Absolutely, well done from them, well done from both teams. Blood, sweat, tears, and last anything standing. Proper to the end.
Passion, drama, elation. Those are a few words used to describe their Beacon EWI minor. My name is Connie. Hello everyone, I've missed you all so much. And alongside today, of course, Manda Killer. Listen, it's been a hot second, James, but glad to be back on here with you with a Beacon tournament at stake here today.
Oh, it's absolutely amazing to be back. So yeah, I mean, you kind of took the words right out. Beacon tournament. Last time we were together was the ever wonderful NUEL Spring Finals, which has been a hot minute. But we are going to be getting into some very exciting action today. We're starting off. We're just getting everything kind of picked up. But it is going to be Oblivion versus Meow, and I'm so excited for these games, Connie. You were saying you were excited. You had some choice words about what was going through. So take us through. What's the excitement all about?
I think in particular as well at this stage in Beacon, you know, we are in the latter portion of the season, so the stakes are quite high. Everyone's backs against the wall because the points do count, and this minor is definitely one to watch out for, especially if the teams made the grand final. Again, Meow Gaming making a run through winners bracket and now reaching the grand final, but your lower team, Oblivion, very surprising, yet at the same time not so much, because seeing the teams eliminated as well, such as Control and Next in Line, teams that I've seen before at the start of Beacon year, who have dominated pretty much from the get-go. It's really nice to have a refreshing set of faces, set of teams reach this point, and particularly as well, I'm just excited to get on with the action.
Yeah, no, so speaking of the action, just to give you kind of an interesting point about what's been going on so far, obviously, we're here for the here and now, but to give you guys a bit of a backstory about what's been going on behind the scenes, for the rest of the tournament we're going through, we have some very interesting stats to be going through. Very quickly, one of the first things I want to be putting through, here we go, as we see, we do have the entire roster ahead of Meow Gaming, Oblivion XC, a roster that I'm super excited to be witnessing, and we do have that entire lower bracket and upper bracket going through. Control Esports kind of getting knocked out immediately. One of the teams that I actually had quite a number on to be getting quite far, didn't really make it through, unfortunately, for themselves. And Connie, you were saying you had your eye on Oblivion.
Yeah, Oblivion in general, I think have been a pretty good run so far, especially going all the way from losers round 1 to now, beating teams like Brexit, AIM, Cognizant, Control, Next in Line. I mean, these guys at the very start of the year, like I said, very dominant out the gate, you know, looking to get points on the board and establish themselves early in the season. But Oblivion, pretty much, you know, you're definitely not ones to be messed with. They've made an impressive run to boot, but at the same time, you can reflect on Meow Gaming as well in winners. They've taken down some with names like Brexit, AIM, Gaming XD, who of course was at Epic 38, and again, Next in Line as well, who reached the finals at that point in time. So realistically speaking, this Beacon minor is looking or shaping up to be quite a special one, if need be.
No, it very much is. And so some of those interesting stats I was kind of running you guys through. So for the whole time that we've been playing this, some people have different opinions on what their favourite maps are, what their least favourite maps are. We've got Bind back in the pool now, which I'm so happy to see. Unfortunately, actually, quick spoiler, don't think we're going to be getting to see it this rundown. But one thing that's interesting is we're getting Fracture. I'm going to spoil that for you now. And the reason I'm going to spoil that for you now is that is the second time Fracture has been picked in this entire Beacon setup. Not only one other team, I should say, has had the confidence to go Fracture. And to be honest, I mean, we all have our opinions in certain maps. We all have our opinions. I think Fracture probably still the most divisive map in the entire setup in terms of that map roster. So, I mean, scary to see it back on for the second time, but luckily it's not being left as one being the loneliest number.
I think as well when it comes to Fracture, it really is quite a polarizing map, especially in picks, because again, with lots of switch ups around as well, with the maps coming in and out of the Valorant competitive pool, I mean, again, it really is going to be an interesting one to sort of dive into, because the way, again, most of the competitive teams have been playing, I imagine the anti-vetoes have been going left, right and center, and realistically speaking, playing to the strengths throughout bracket play is not a bad thing at all. But again, pulling up a map that realistically you might have up your sleeve for, you know, a long time, Fracture can be one of those sorts of maps here, James.
No, I agree with that. I think Fracture is one of the best maps to have up your sleeve. It does mean that you at the very least, you either force a ban on a map that maybe a team doesn't want to, that doesn't want to force, and they have to use it on Fracture because they're ready for it, and they don't want to have to go through Fracture against someone that's ready for it. And it's either you're ready for it or you don't, and it's kind of a free ban. But we are now, the rosters are ready. Let's have a look. First things first, I think we are going to be starting off with the OW, which is going to be, here they are. Very interesting things we get to see. We get to see Demon 2 back in the Duelist, Loudmore on the flex, most likely. Actually, Connie, I'm tired of my voice. What are you expecting?
I think in terms of composition as well, I mean, Doxy, Cataclysm and Zoic are very, very high rated. I think in terms of the entirety of Meow Gaming, although I haven't seen much of them on broadcast, I really think going through winners bracket and establishing yourself against, you know, these teams, especially like Gaming XD, you kind of come in with that added pressure a little bit as well, because with the rumblings and the wait time as well to get into grand final and the low bracket developing, they've been iced out for a little bit. They've been waiting their sweet time to get stuck into a lobby, stuck into a server. But overall, I think there's 5 very talented players there as well, especially to get to this point. And even in the season right now, the stakes are so high, you really have to build it up on that sort of level.
Oh no, 100%. I mean, teams going through Division 1 are absolutely going to be going off to the finals, or going off to that Polaris spot, which is going to be really exciting, real coveted for a lot of them. And there's one thing I want to point out as well, is we're seeing a lot more flex appearing on a lot more kind of rosters. My opinion used to be on flex was indecisive. It used to be someone used to, you know, if they weren't quite sure of what they played, but with the meta is shifting to a lot of double controllers, double initiators, you know, single duelists. There's a lot of, you know, flex doesn't mean indecisive as much anymore as it means powerhouse on all fronts, at least in my personal opinion.
I think as well, when it comes to a lot of this, your duelists again are really your princess roles a little bit, because again, very flashy, very fast pace, and looks the prettiest as well on the map to see. But realistically, again, I'm always going to have a lot of love for controllers, particularly as well when it comes to just playing post plant, playing even a retake. They always are going to be the most highly valued team members, especially with the smoke power.
No, exactly, and we're going to be now getting to have a look at the roster for Oblivion, which is really exciting. As you know, I want to see if we are getting a lot more flex, or if the team's going to be having a lot more, you know, just duelist, initiator, controller. Because at the end of the day, whenever you get to these higher levels, these higher tiers, you really need to be trying to dedicate, at least my personal view on it, you need to be dedicating one time, basically all to that role. Because if you don't, then you will have a jack of all trades but master of none. And at this point, when you're going against masters of their trades, you really want to have that narrowed down kind of as best as possible. So hopefully, well, who knows, maybe Oblivion will shut me up, but maybe hopefully for them, they'll have not as much in the way of flex and that kind of narrowed down.
I think as well, when it comes to it, you do have to just elaborate over and over again on how much the points really mean for these teams, especially at this stage, because you are coming up to the latter portion of the season. You'll see division finals, you'll see a lot of things, a lot of rumblings in the waters, especially between these teams. And I really think right now it's a little bit more than pride right now, because both these teams, again, just want to maximize their possibilities of reaching these upper spots in the standings as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly. So just to give you a quick rundown exactly what is on the stand. I did mention the Polaris splits earlier, but just to give you a rundown. So Division 1, 1st to 8th in the teams, plus the bottom two teams of Polaris split 2 in 2023. That gets them actually to the slot. Then Division 2, 9th through 24th, and Division 3, 24th to 40th, plus the open sign-ups that we've kind of already seen run through. And they're all for the Beacon Circuit Finals for the chance to win their share of the 10,000 in prize money. So they are absolutely, as you said, I always love putting that kind of pride on the line. I think that's much more valuable than any currency. But you know what? That is a nice chunk of change to really spur some of the players on.
I think 10,000 is a lot of money, and you can tell again the pressure will surmount quite a lot throughout this series. I think realistically though, Oblivion XC, as we now see their roster here again, Rewind on the controller, Whizzing on the initiator, and the last three again, MJT again dropping the second controller, Henny on the flex, and Prophet on duelist. A big ask out of these guys. The lower bracket really has been their playground, but now in grand finals we're looking to see something a little bit different here. You know, again the stakes are high, the pressure's definitely up there, but overall a big ask for Oblivion.
No, 100%. One thing I want to point out, actually, because I was just saying about the, you know, usually at the moment, with the meta shaping up the way it is, usually one of your duelists ends up becoming that flex, but we do notice Rewind and MJT both in the controllers, and then Henny having to pick up that flex. Most likely then, we may be seeing, you know, double controller, double initiator, maybe single sentinel. That could be something we could definitely see, in particularly some of these maps coming up, just because of the ability that I'm so glad. And this is a little bit of a tangent, but I'm so glad Harbor's back to it. Harbor's kind of up and getting some love. He's an agent that whenever he was revealed was so interesting, his util was so exciting, but people didn't really understand how to play it off. And that double controller meta now has really allowed him to shine. I'm so excited, and I really hope we get some interesting plays, I guess is probably the best way to put it.
So that's a great analogy, to be fair. Interesting plays. Because realistically, both these teams particularly as well have been, you know, at the upper echelon here in the Beacon circuit, and with the NUEL Beacon EWI minor, it really is going to be interesting to see, you know, lots of gameplay unfold before our very eyes. And realistically speaking, you do again go to lots of players, but Fracture coming up first. My eyes are on the initiators. Those guys again are going to be your first points of contact, opening up the map, opening up the sights, really setting the tempo for the rest of the game.
No, exactly, you're right. I mean, the initiators are going to be Fracture with such a map. I mean, Breach was a character, and just because you mentioned the initiators, we'll kind of go into it. So Breach was a character that didn't actually get a lot of love. He was seen quite a bit in Split before Fracture was added, but once Split was then taken out of the rotations, you didn't see too much of Breach. People like Sky kind of took him over just because they were a bit more flexible with extra heals. You had then just Sova coming kind of back out, because no matter how much Riot try and take Sova out, Sova always worms his way back in. He is the true hunter of the initiator squad, and because of that, you get some really interesting plays via, you know, sometimes people do run, you know, that Sova Breach, that Fade Breach. I've seen some really devastating plays on, so these comps are going to be important.
I mean, listen, those sorts of comps that you said, they're very high impact. They're so lane control. They cut off all choke points, especially when entering a site, and that really is where you get your most value out of these agents when you are playing on the attacking side or even on the defensive side. You're cutting off those easy points of access, you're causing stagger pushes, you're rerouting the players through the different timings. It does give you a really huge incentive here again to not just master the craft, but prepare for what's to come.
Yeah, no, and exactly, and cutting off sightlines, here we go. That we did spoil a little bit, apologies ladies and gentlemen, I should have put a spoiler warning before we did the pick bans, but here they are now. So Bind getting immediately kind of taken out, that kind of surprises me, to be honest.
I feel like when we're doing the one-to-one here, James, Bind again being very fresh in the map pool right now, coming back in after a while out and replacing Icebox. Even with the adjustments, the map still feels beautiful, it still feels good, but I guess when it comes to the repetitions, I think, you know, most teams in general, especially in all tiers of Valorant, haven't quite had the luxury of scrims and the luxury of playing against each other, particularly on this map, so it is a safe ban. Lotus too, I mean, off the rip there again with those two going out the picture, you're removing your small vertical maps, so really you're playing quite rangy, you're playing quite close to your guns, and again, it's seeing a Sentinel Fracture. I mean, it does initiate your duelists and your initiators to quite a high level. They're going to have a lot of value at different points. You're going to see in the broadcaster today. Pearl and Haven going out, you know, very understandable, particularly as well, both maps being complete opposite ends of the spectrums to the Bind, the Lotus, and the Ascent. But Split as a decider, definitely if it does go to a map 3, will be interesting to watch there, James.
I love Split. I know, not even as an initiator player, as a Sage being myself, and being cursed to the fate of walling mid and only walling mid, Split is still a super interesting map for me. I really do adore it. So I just hope from that alone and from seeing what the interesting new plays are, because once again, Gecko's now among us. Gecko is I've said among us now. Already I can hear the memes queuing in my head, but yeah, like with Gecko now being part of the roster and teams likely looking to pick him up just due to his flexibility and the wingman being able to plant the bomb for those teams, you know, that's going to be creating a lot of different things. Particularly, Split's such a legacy map in this case. Like Split and Gecko were never in each other's eyesights whenever the game was getting designed. So how they play together is going to be super interesting, Connor.
I think as well, a lot of these legacy maps in the picture here, I do think you have to highlight again, other than just the new agents coming into the picture, how well you're sort of going to mix it all together and make it come out with a good product. Especially now with the game changing, a lot of the pacing's changing, and even the player adaptability at times. You're really going to see upper echelon players, again, that adapt a lot quicker on the fly, not as well have the ability to, you know, use your ult at the right time, initiate at the right time, pick your right fights, get your right spots. It's going to be quite high level. Going to be very interesting to overall, you know, check apart.
No, yeah, exactly. And I do want to bring back, because it was such an important point what you said about the initiators, you know, kind of splitting up the maps, taking those choke points, really cutting things up. They have become, and the way a lot of people have started using initiators is very similar to a controller mindset. It's not as much about, you know, kind of tunneling one player in and getting them into an awkward spot and then, you know, kind of spamming the initiator util at them. It's very much now get all the information you can, which is why we have seen quite a big pick of Fade, quite the big picks of Sova, because you don't really care if someone's in the corner. You don't try and get that kill, you know, with the util as much, because player positioning has improved. But you know what, speaking of player positioning improving, let's watch them position in the game, Connie. We are firing in.
I'm absolutely excited again. Ascent is going to be your first map on the picture here, and as we do go into the agent select again, you are going to highlight lots of the standard compositions here. Already seeing Oblivion XC offer something very traditional, whereas you know, gaming going to at least mix some things up here. You see the Viper being hovered and eventually being locked in. It's pretty clear cut to me, James, what they're trying to do here.
Yeah, no, exactly. Everyone, it's scary. Like, obviously, the defender side, they don't know this. Meow aren't quite aware, but whenever you see people pick, I mean, I respect the double Yoru hover from Meow. I appreciate it. And there's a parallel universe somewhere where Yoru is the absolute meta destroyer, and I wish we were in it. But no, as you said, I mean, you can see exactly what they're doing. Oblivion have came in here with a game plan. Absolutely, the immediate lock in, all 5 agents. There's no hesitation. There's no discussion. The discussion's already been had. You play this, you do this. So I'm really excited, and particularly because they're starting an attack, I'm excited to see some really, hopefully, clean executes.
Because when it comes to 4 players, of course, mirroring compositions, with the only exception being the Viper and the Killjoy, but both for different purposes. Really, you're going to harness a lot of Viper's orbs, and even better than that, the Pit as well, to just utilize, you know, singular map control. Whereas again, the Killjoy most effective in retakes, but above all that, just really difficult to use, especially in terms of dealing with the mollies, and even more than that, the turret. Lots of pressure being applied from both sides. But as we get into the Ascent, one thing to highlight, you do look at these teams, you do look at what they got to right now. This is the grand finals of the NUEL EWI Beacon Miner, and my friend, I just want to get right in there.
Let us go. We are about to do exactly that, and this is the thing that we were meant kind of calling back to at the start about like the double initiator, double controller. We actually see both used from both separate teams. So Oblivion actually opting for the double initiator with the Sova KO, and Meow opting for the double controller with the Omen and Viper. A lot of people have pointed out, in particular, I know a fair few people that play Viper themselves, and they have pointed out, well, as obviously in the highest play, but even the lower end, realize that you can't really just play a solo Viper. She's not flexible enough. I mean, once you put that wall down, the wall's down.
Exactly. I really think as well, when it comes to the pressure off the rip here, you do tend to see a lot of teams, again, just flood sites early and play very much close quarters with each crossfire being initiated onto the attacking. Whereas the defending, again, you are going to be seeing lots of single sentinel plays, really holding off sites, keeping things together. But I mean, initially, on the minimap itself, we do see Oblivion XC flooding early onto A here with a heavy stack, Omen as well on the spike. But the Killjoy lurking around on B, maybe catching some players off guard.
Yeah, no, I mean, that Killjoy lurk on B, it's one of those things that Meow's going to have to either be very cheeky with their flanks, or basically accept that flanks aren't going to happen. The knife immediately comes through from Meow. Does actually just pick up, I think it's only the Jet there you see actually kind of locked down at the moment, not able to do any kind of peeks and dashes, but even if they could, they're not going to find anyone. Meow's playing really defensively and they're ready for this, but this push, as you said, Connie, it is fast and it is happening already. Let's see how this goes.
It's fantastic right now again. Look at this, Oblivion get a free sight in hand, but only one KO in Zom. And Doxy's going to try and at least eliminate some pressure on the front side as the door goes down. Meow Gaming needs to respond fast here. It really needs to be a clear-cut push, but the pinstripe kill feed is sort of evening up the feeling a little bit better. 3v2 to Oblivion XC, only playing off of what they have, but at least getting bombed down. You're playing after plant at this point.
No, exactly. And now we do see Loud trying to break the door, but Wizzing now has all that information. That B-lurk comes through, and no, Moore's not going to check it. Wizzing actually can't find the kill entirely. The molly comes through, and that is a bit more util having to go down. That spike's still ticking down. Cataclysm managing to dodge the paranoia as Moore finally is dropped by Wizzing, and Rewind picks up the kill on the Cataclysm. A very decisive round 1 win for Oblivion.
It's a great pistol around there again. Oblivion already off to a fantastic start and looking to keep things comfortable here in the economy. But in turn for it all right now, you do see lots of ego buys and, you know, a different spread here as well. As MGT there is flirting around with the Vandal Phantom, but even more than that, Spectre full shields and Butterball full shields here for a well-rewarded win in the first round for Oblivion.
No, exactly. And one of the things that you see, it's something that I do have a pet peeve against. It's buying a Phantom on round 2, particularly with the light shield. But this is where it becomes very different from the pubs that you and I are used to, Connie. This is MJT's going to dash forward, try and get the pick with that Phantom. The rest of the team's going to follow up and Meow. And then they're absolutely, or sorry, apologies. The rest of the team from the side of Meow are just going to rush through this 5-stack onto mid as the splits already come through. And MJT and co are already just on the site, on the A side. They've done exactly what they did last time, and it's worked out even better for them, I want to say.
Exactly. I mean, listen, the free sight comes in, and so does the plant. You know, as well relying on the Lurker Killjoy there instead of Oblivion to try and keep things in control, because Wizzing here has so much value, even isolating players and catching off the lane push. The way Meow Gaming are going to try and get through this garden is already on the menu, especially when it comes to dealing with the pressure firsthand. Oblivion is setting up very early here. Shots go down for more through the wall, only collecting a few, but still very staggered, playing for the 1v1s here, James.
Look at that attack spawn that we do see 2 of the side of Meow. It's the Omen and it is the Sova just kind of chilling. They have been completely locked away though from the Killjoy util. This is exactly what I was saying. You might have to just accept that flanks aren't possible as MJT picks up Doxy. Doxy able to find Rewind though, really clean shot. And Hen now, yeah, just hearing the gun down happening. Wizzing picking up 2 and Henny picks up the 3rd as Moore is taken by the bomb. And Oblivion only losing 1 member for that.
Absolutely impressive there. Again, sorting out for Oblivion as we enter our first of the bonus rounds in this map. And realistically speaking, Meow Gaming, very slow to start with, but I think maybe there's lots of things to really that come down to, James, especially with their setups. You do give a lot of free sights here to Oblivion, predicting as well, A, going around for both points. And realistically, Meow Gaming needs to respond fast.
No, they do, and thankfully at least it seems like a bit of a tech pause coming through from Meow Game and hopefully giving them a bit of time to kind of decide what they want to do, maybe see what's going on, because at the moment Oblivion is just walking onto A site for basically free. They did get a couple frags at the start, or the Meow were able to get 1 or 2 of them at the start in the pistol round, but then Oblivion only losing 1 in the form of Rewind from an absolutely very almost cocky swing from the KO, but if it's a cocky swing that gets a kill, it's not cocky, it's just confidence.
I think at this point as well, you can actually play a lot of the confidence earlier on. I mean, listen, round 2 really is where you do see lots of the machine guns come out into the picture, really showing off the wide swings and really showing off the close quarters combat. But I do think it comes down to the pushing and the spacing for the side of Meow Gaming. On the defensive side, realistically speaking, well, it is favoured. You really are seeing Oblivion pick apart early on, especially with their commitments towards A. It really is a flooded stack, and it really is much going to be a case of playing after plant here, getting your crosshairs lined up on the off angles and keeping yourselves ready for a strong pre-aim. But even better than that, when the bomb does go down, you do see lots of rotation through mid. That's where Wizzing comes into play on the Killjoy, just catching players in the lurk and even the rotation. Regardless if the kill comes through or not, it's free information, and I do think Oblivion are capitalizing early on.
No, they really are, and they're playing super off each other, as I said, and it was the point I was making with JMT buying that Phantom, but with light shields. You know, in pub lobbies, sometimes that can lead to a fed gun, but in these types of tiers, that's JMT dashing through, getting a pick with a Phantom. Even if they get traded, there's a conga line behind him of people ready just to get that, pick up that Phantom, get another kill, drop it for the next guy if they get, you know, one-tapped by the Sheriff, which we see so frequently, and it's one of the reasons that I do rate, or I don't rate, I should say, that light shield. That light shield only gives you 125 health. Sheriff, no matter where, no matter how far away you are, you could be on Breeze in the furthest corner of the map. That finds your head.
It does find your head, as now we do go back into the game. It's going to be very much a case of Meow Gamers try and get back strong and try and keep things under control. But again, off the off angle, you don't want to make sure that things are in order. As again, Oblivion capitalized early here. 45 out the rip of MGT finding one, but now we're seeing a real spread here. Oblivion looking to fit towards A, jet dashing on early through mid, but the counter there from Cataclysm simply gorgeous now, evening things up.
No, they do, and Meow really want to be getting these picks. I mean, they're already 2 down, but Zoic with a really nice paranoia setup, hopefully able to capitalize off it. But that's Sylvander, and this is what we're saying. This is double initiator. This is the kind of thing it can do. Henny, the drone isn't going to find out, but the location, no, the dart's actually going to find Zoic regardless, and Henny picks him up because of it. And now we have another really clean push, a gorgeous shot from MJT as the KO tries to swing out through, doesn't find anyone. And now Oblivion, their third round looks like for their third hit on A site. It looks like it's going to be a successful one again.
Indeed, Meow Gaming now forced up in heaven. Can't really shoot much other than through the wall bang into hell. Even clearing out through glass. You need to make sure that you can get this dart off it quickly and get some information. But look at where Oblivion are playing it again. So disciplined. Very static here as well. You've got 2 holding for a retake and 1 underneath for the drops. The audio key is going to be really huge here. As Rewind does realize there is some pressure in front of him. And off of that, finds a clear-cut kill. But now 1v3. More with little time and 2 HP. Realistically, can't quite find it. Does find 1 though. Realistically, you need to make sure again that you're clearing, and Rewind makes it another conversion, as now it is 0-3 Meow Gaming here on the back foot to start things off, but Oblivion firmly in the driving seat.
No, yeah, exactly, and we are seeing, I mean, that as I said, like that KO and that sofa info, that's enough. Meow Gaming does have the double controller setup, but if you're playing around these Viper walls, if you're playing around these Omen smokes and you're not letting them get value, well, all of a sudden you've got 2 agents that kind of, well, obviously they've still got guns, they can still get frags, and you're really like gutting the util potential that Meow Gaming can get, like from that. You know, they do still have the Sova and the KO as well as that initiation, but they're not initiating. They're trying to defend, and it's not working for them.
Realistically, the changes you might want to see again is maybe to fire with fire. You know, really stacking your players towards commitments and making early rotations, because the way they're playing it anyway, the aggression comes out early, but there's simply no one there to greet them on the other side. So they're just sort of forced into an area of not real high impact, but maybe for a pinch or a route, which in a given time is just completely benefiting the side of Oblivion, because by them, you know, they're playing after plant, they're getting up ready for, you know, potential retake, and Meow Gaming, they have to force you to off the rip and try and counter so many angles to clear on the side of Oblivion.
No, exactly. And I mean, at this point now, if Oblivion don't have, depending on obviously some people's opinions and lineups are different regardless whether, but that's a discussion for a different time. But importantly enough, Oblivion, I'm expecting to see some lineups, and once you have these post-plant situations, you know, the double Killjoy nades go down, the Sova lineups come down, the KO nade, if it's good, if Prophet has that understanding, all of a sudden, when you're Meow Gaming, you have to tap that bomb like 6 times to hopefully get it to half, and you don't have that utility, you don't have that ability to decisively retake as well if the Viper wall's already gone down, which we can see it has again. And there's not a single member of Oblivion on B site, so that is immediately the Viper wall, probably their best part, the biggest part of her kit. It's gone.
And look at this right here, Oblivion, respect the potential push, and Whizzing finally comes to the play here. Does spot players from the side of Meow Gaming lurking through, and that really is what value comes in now. So numbers are dwindling away from Meow Gaming in a 4-5 situation. Still lots of pressure here being respected through the lurk, through the mid, because right now at this point, your only option again is to try and make a play call, force a wrap from mid, or maybe even wrap to B. Realistically speaking, you respect Meow Gaming and their pressure on A, but Loud finding a clear shot with the Sheriff. Only results in more trade as MJT whips up the knives. Now 5 seconds left here. Needs to be a fast play for the side of Oblivion to try and take on this site.
And it looks like Cataclysm with the lurk on the boathouse. We're seeing Rewind with the TP immediately getting cancelled. That does give them the info, and now yeah, the paranoia comes through. MJT without the dash, and I think actually a team flash maybe not doing him a favour as he misses every knife. This is uncharacteristic. Oh my, okay, please, someone, okay. Put Cataclysm out of his misery. Oh my days, the absolute silhouette shot around Cataclysm. But at the end of the day, Oblivion do still manage to take the site, and now it's Doxy and the Omen from inside of Meow just having to wait. But this is 4 versus 2. Gun disadvantage, Spike already down, but Zoic, absolutely gorgeous 2 shots.
Smoke this reinforced, but it doesn't matter for Zoe because he finds a clear 2. Now one situation here, Zox needs to find the remainder. Doesn't know that both points are going to be a really weird point of contact, especially with the crossfire being initiated. Everyone gets it done and dusted, as now we are seeing a 4-0 leverage here for the Oblivion. And realistically, Meow Gaming, despite the timeout and the pauses, nothing really seems to be working, but realistically now you have to make the real big ball play call here. Demon 2 pulling out the uplight shot early, realistically speaking, might change things up a little bit for the side, but looking at the economy and the way that it's gone for Oblivion, they've got so much control firmly in the driving seat.
100%. I'm going to say something here that maybe MJT will make me eat my words, because we do see basically full buys coming out. Again, though, Meow not able to, buy any kind of full heavy shields. It's all light shields. But the thing I was going to say about MJT is we've seen such decisive executes onto the A site from Oblivion and co. that maybe you don't want your Jet on the op. They seem to be able to just take these sites so decisively and so successfully that maybe if you lose MJT to this peak, which doesn't happen actually, Demon fires a frame too early, I want to say. But yeah, that might actually make these executes suffer because you've lost MJT to the op.
Huge damage as well, hitting down to 45, can't really force much aggressive plays here. Because as well, Doxy is setting up again to make sure the Garden is not going to be a case of a retake situation. Although looking at Oblivion, it's better adjustment as well because they are finding the kills and they are reading the pressure a lot better. So now at this point you can commit a spike play. Only really Meow Gaming force more smokes into Aegis to reinforce because positioning wise they have got leverage, but time is not on their side. Oblivion now can make many different play calls. And at this point, you have to respect it. If you're Meow Gaming, you can't really make anything work unless, of course, the players come to you. And Profit is your first line of contact here.
And they are coming now. This is it. This is the absolute push. Wizzing comes through. Moore does find a very crucial pick. That does stop the B-line. Cataclysm actually picks up two. With gorgeous shooting. Swings into MJT. Baits the op shot. Rewind though, bailing him out. Absolutely gorgeous swing from him. As he also picks up the Viper as well. That's two for the back of what should have been a dead MJT. And instead now, site control for Oblivion. And now a post-plant op situation. It's against Demon and Zoic. It's all going to come down to these swings, and this might be exactly what I was saying. That op might not be enough as MJT gets the swing. I actually thought the collateral was coming through. The trade comes through. Rewind as the Omen Def, and Zoic has shown himself for that play in particular to be the better Omen.
And definitely Zoic there gets the defuse, saves the op, and that's a great bounce back there for Meow Gaming. Getting her under the board that was much needed, especially in circumstances. Oblivion looks so strong, even more than that, just winning every single gunfight, every 50-50 was always going to be accounted for. Whereas now, Meow Gaming responding quickly, but at the same time, you have to respect every sort of play because you can't afford many more rounds to be lost. Oblivion still firmly in control, as with this Meow Gaming, you have the economy, James.
No, exactly. You've covered everything basically perfectly. I mean, Oblivion's still very much in the driver's seat. They have been knocked back a little bit, shunted potentially for another round, but really it is up to Meow now. They do have these ults that are starting to come online. We do see a lot of the readies coming through, and they really need to keep this momentum up. They have the Sova, they have the Viper, they have the From the Shadows, which once again I've said many times can be a very underwhelming ultimate. Or it can be the strongest ultimate in the game. Oh, as Demon picks up an absolutely gorgeous shot. Another one followed up. Rewind only good for one refrag. Can't stop it as Demon absolutely living up to his namesake.
Holding on to A as well. The angle's completely cleared, and says Garden being reinforced by the KO. Oblivion now at this point do need to make a real play call. They want to try again, at least respect it. But the way Loud again is just holding off B with the Viper utility. It doesn't really have that much contact. Again, mid really can be your real push because you're respecting again the pressure from KO on Garden, and you're also respecting again the smoke plays from Omen. It's just a real clear-cut point of contact. The shots go down through the back wall. Wizzing now needs to make a real play call here again, readjusting towards B, but that Viper wall's been active for so long, and Classicism even more of a recon dart.
No, the recon dart, that covers mid actually. That's a gorgeous shot. Wow, that covers all the way down in Catwalk. Henny's now been figured out, and I've started to realize as well, and it's been a hot minute since I've kind of mentioned, because we haven't mentioned this kind of B-site hold. You know, this wall from the side of Meow Gaming, it's just not as effective as a Killjoy setup on B. You know, one Viper wall, it does do that decay, it does kind of cut the health down, but, you know, Killjoy has everything at her disposal whenever you hold down B, so it means that as long as Oblivion and co, which they've already gotten, I keep saying Oblivion Co, as long as Wizzing and co, you know, they pick up a few more rounds in this attack, you all of a sudden have a Killjoy that can basically lock down B-site and pushing B-site on Ascent with the Killjoy setups, particularly at this caliber. Oh my days.
That's massive Hunter's Fury there as Cataclysm is just spamming it through, finds a clear two, and Oblivion, despite having a free sight, you see Meow Gaming there use the ultimate to perfection. No room for error, as now they get another round back in the books, and it's just incredible to watch. Realistically speaking, Cataclysm there, all he had to do was read information, line up the crosshair, and then kills just flooded on him. And because of the time left remaining, Oblivion had to get it down. They couldn't afford much room for error, but realistically speaking, there wasn't much they could do. Even the situation there where the Hunter's Fury came into play, they knew at that point the round was done. Meow Gaming there, tied up a little bit with the 2 rounds now on the board.
And all of a sudden, actually, that might very well scare Oblivion into their original plans, having MJT just on those aggressive pushes, that A site coming through, the ping coming through to try and stop the the preemptive Sova dart, not going to find anything because Sova's all the way over in the B site, and now we are going to be seeing that attacker side Killjoy come through. Oblivion really wanting to try and get used to these ultimates as Meow start just building up more and more and more. Wine cleared out, but there's no one there as that lockdown's going to come through, and Oblivion now on site.
Great utility there as well from Oblivion to get it through, as they will now play the plant. Could be even Steven Snow, but a Jet Dash from Demon 2. It goes so high, it catches the KO off guard. Oh my goodness me, now a 5v4 situation. Door will get shut, but still Meow Game with numbers will look to try and utilize this again. Demon 2 can play with some information. As more get shots down, they know players are lurking below hell. But regardless of that, you also got to clear Garden and clear the retake as well from the front gate. It's going to be very difficult right now. As the entry does come on in, it's going to be a real array of bullets as 1-for-1s take place. Meow Gaming, though, still edging it ever so slightly. Oblivion, that's one player left. It's been whizzing. As the molly does go down, it needs to be a clear. It needs to be a read. But there's so much, only so much you can do when there are two barrels of Meow Gaming staring at your face, lead to the head. My goodness me, Meow Gaming get another one back. Really finding their form, really reviving themselves in these last few rounds.
I'm so glad. I was starting to get worried once we've had that 0-4, but Meow Gaming really showing that if you can win 4 rounds back-to-back, so can we. Only one ultimate down as well used for that, and it was Demon with an absolutely criminal updraft onto the kill onto Prophet there. I don't think I have ever seen that angle. That was filthy. And an absolutely beautiful use out of the ultimate as, yeah, we now rush through. One ultimate use for Meow, probably one of the lesser impactful ones, at least typically in comparison to the, the Viper's Pit. So, yeah, if they're able to keep getting out as much value out of these ultimates as they can there, Demon using the Sonar bolt to kind of push up and find Whizzing.
It's a great first blood there from Demon 2 as now points of contact start to emerge. It really is going to be the Demon 2 show as he finds a second. But looking at the aggression now, you want to make sure again that Moore's picking up mid, which he is. Oblivion now starting to slowly fall by the wayside here. It really has been a slow few rounds here for Oblivion, especially with Meow and Gaming re-injecting themselves. Definitely in this map in particular. Players finding their kills and Demons who finding comfort with the Jet is what you want as numbers dwindle down slowly away. 5v1 situation for Oblivion. My friend, it's going to be an ace on the board here and a flawless.
A flawless for them, absolutely beautiful. And one thing I do really want to point out is more, I appreciate you proving me so wrong because I said the util wasn't getting too much value and you have absolutely heard that criticism and decided, well, if the util won't, I will, and Moore has been absolutely showing up on that kill feed basically since Meow's return to form over these last 4 rounds. We've been seeing basically everyone from Meow though. There's not a single player that hasn't showed up on that kill feed since this kind of comeback started.
It's been a solid re-injection. I really think when you are elaborating as much as I am, when it comes to Meow Gaming and tying it up 4-4, it's a monumentous push, and it definitely is what they need, especially with Oblivion having such a strong attacking round to start with. And again, Meow Gaming on the better side off the rip, so realistically, you're asking the questions at this point, can the confidence be met? Can they readjust? Can they get the pressure applied? And yes, they have. Even better than that, the ultimate coordination has been beautiful. Meow Gaming, though, and Oblivion too, both are just trying to really feel it out, because with this timeout, Oblivion XC will get some more ideas from the playbook.
No, exactly, and they do need to be getting some of those ideas. Speaking of the ultimates that you did mention, Connie, because they're obviously so vital in this game, and they're so vital to get the best value out of as we even this back up. At this point now, one ultimate does make the difference between potentially 2 rounds won, as an economy might absolutely fall into shambles because of that victory. And we'll have to see if Moore is able to do something with an aggressive Viper's Pit. It's a very difficult thing to make work, to be honest, and likely we will just be seeing more nestling onto it for a while, hopefully not for the entire half, because finding that perfect Viper's Pit on attack, it's hard.
Yeah, not much difficult as well, but Oblivion are completely out of ideas here. They're reverting back to the round 1 strategies again and committing towards A. Only difference here is going to be a lot more mid-aggression, but the Viper's Pit will soon be their downfall as it does capitalize. MJT finds a crucial first blood, as now we're seeing the forces rally up and the troops stomp on in onto the site. It really is going to be an absolute show here. A lawnmower to grass, if you will. They're taking absolute sweet time here as Meow Gaming is getting slowly picked apart.
More going through with that all. I mean, it wasn't quite what I had in mind, but to be fair, there might be a chance to pick it back up. We are about to get into the last kind of 2 rounds, or 4 rounds, I should say, sorry, before it comes. So hopefully more able to pick up that Viper's Pit one more time, get a bit more value out of it. It's so risky whenever you run that kind of shorty, because if you do have players that are happy to give that space and play off each other, that shorty, even if you're good for 1, you're not likely going to be good for any more.
Exactly, as again, they're just playing it so clear to me. Meow Gaming have to respect this and at least save the jet, save the op if it is still in the picture. But the next C get around converted there and finally edge themselves back into the series. They have a 1-round lead. It's just going to be, now this point, readjustments for Meow Gaming because, by at least point here, the logical decision comes in to save the utility, save the weaponry. And Oblivion XC are just keeping it relatively textbook at this point. I think even after the first point of contact, the Viper's ult was wasted a little bit there. You're relying so much on one gunfight, one player. The stack could have maybe been a bit more on Meow Gaming's side there, especially with the play cut. But Oblivion's call there to send 3 to mid was simply gorgeous, James.
No, it really was. It was clean as hell. It was completely, as you said, you know, it was quite just fundamental, just good Valorant. That was the positioning was solid. Everyone's plays, everyone's position, and they really worked out well off of each other. And it meant that, yeah, more. Even if he'd have picked up one, there was 4 more he had to do. You know, there was we were going to be asking more from more in quite a fitting manner as we go through it now. But that lead coming up for the side of Oblivion, you know, they had been in the lead, then immediately the comeback came through from Meow. And now maybe another 4 rounds back to back. Maybe that's just the way this is going to come through as the ult orb actually picked up. You know, as the ultimates rather picking up from Oblivion. You know, now they have the Hunter's Fury, the From the Shadows, the lockdown, and what a beautiful push from MJT and the Sonar that was.
At least Heaven still firmly controls Cataclysm finds the last, but your players have been dwindled away here inside of Meow Gaming. As now the door does get shut down, it's going to be at least another afterplant situation here, a retake if you will, because Meow Gaming, despite all of their setups and all of their coordination, players slipping by the wayside, just simply not winning the fights, and alongside that, getting out-pressured, just simply the stack from Oblivion XC has worked in full tandem. Zoic though again, will at least get a consolation kill. It needs to be 3 more if they want to try and retake this round. With smokes to play over and some TPs, you really have to at least make this agent work. With all that it is, it's going to be really difficult. The second one comes through, but Rewind keeps it in tandem, and the final blow, the finishing KO, is what makes Oblivion XC take it so far 6-4 in the first half.
Absolutely beautiful. I really like that smoke from Zoic. That was the perfect way to kind of carve up A site, to give yourself that space to take those fights 1 versus 1. Does actually get the kill on the Whizzing because of it, but Rewind, the audio, that man's ears are on another planet to just hear the gunshots and find Zoic through the smoke, even with the Phantom in tow. It was absolutely beautiful from it, and it did mean that Zoic had to do basically the impossible as 2 more kills come through, and the Sova comes through the shock dart. Not going to be fighting MJT. MJT happy just to absolutely run through. Cataclysm, no stopping him. Doxy immediately picks it up, as well as Prophet now also down, probably shot through the smoke. Those pulses do make it really rough hiding behind smokes. They do give your position away. It's basically a live ping, which a lot of people do not respect KO's ult enough. Whizzing picks up.
It's a huge kill. It's a huge kill from Whizzing there. It doesn't show with XC to get a little more aggressive, but that smoke's the only thing keeping them at bay. That's still got to do with Whizzing here if you're on the side of Meow Gaming. And now at this point, there's still 2 players looking around A site. Maybe force at least a wrap or at least a read of the pressure, because lane control is going to be so crucial for Meow Gaming.
And here we go, yes, from the shadows, getting that information. Zoic immediately find him out, but they do know he's there. Now, in Prophet actually finding Cataclysm with the nade. Zoic trying to get out, but it's unlikely as Rewind finds him yet again. Rewind seems to just be on Zoic in terms of that Omen. As the bomb goes down now, Oblivion XC have the Sova ult as well, unlikely to be used, particularly he's on site, and Demon and Viper now, and Demon and Moore have to do a lot of work as Rewind playing all the way in that B-link, and then there are 2 remainers just playing on site, ready to play off each other.
Some great off angles here from the side of Oblivion. They are playing very strong, but some shots go down and more does get connections. It really needs to be a little bit of a case now. How fast can you push on? Does the site need to be cleared? As now it's down to Demon 2 with the Shorty. What about the Vandal? And below it away as Meow Gaming in the 2v3 retake simply pull apart and tear apart Oblivion XC, as is the most back and forth first round of Ascent we're going to see so far today. Demon 2 initiating some wonderful dash plays. It really was the catalyst, well, at least the catalyst towards the side to making that round converted.
I mean, credit for profit for standing his ground, but when that ground has just been littered with 8 to 10 phantom bullets from more, you maybe should think about repositioning, because that was an absolutely crucial read from more. Not only that, that picks up one, leaving a 1 versus 1 on site. That means Rewind now has to come out from the B main arch, which normally should have just been enough just for him to sit and be cozy, but now it's 2 1 versus 1s rather than a 3 versus 2, and MJT already through. Look at that aggro, as once again Oblivion already on site.
And now it's going to be at least a situation where we are going to have to respond with 4 players left. At least one thing doing positive again off the mollies and off the Uto is delaying this plant ever so slightly. And Hunter's Fury spam as well, collaborated with the Paranoia, does keep Oblivion XC on their toes a little bit, but still MJT is finding this pressure on Trademark. It's going to be a complete collapse here for the side of Meow Gaming. MJT is running through with the knives out in hand. It needs to be clear cut, it needs to be crisp, but Cataclysm gets one back.
At very least, but it's Cataclysm has to take the world in his hands and more. This is last round. There's nothing to save. There's no ults coming through, and yeah, Whizzing absolutely shutting down any hope of what would have been an absolutely beautiful clutch to bring us 6-6, but instead, Oblivion XC with the help of Whizzing and MJT's aggro brings us 7-5 as the side switch.
Let's really get into this, James, as well, as we're now seeing a 7-5 half here with Oblivion XC dominating, and now we're seeing a switch around again on positioning. Realistically speaking, Oblivion XC, even such a strong attacking round, surely it carries into the defensive.
I would really hope so, and this like, you know, the attacking round, the big thing that now changes is Oblivion have a Killjoy for this B-site hold, rather than Meow's Viper, and I was getting into the nitty-gritty of it, but these setups are absolutely criminal. I feel like even in pubs, you really fear a Cent B as an attacker against a Killjoy. There's so many places the nades can be, so many places the alarm bots can be, so many places that just bait you into an aggressive push, making you think you have control, only to be absolutely gunned down. But speaking of control, Meow absolutely wanting to take it down market, as MJT has to land a shot, doesn't.
As market will be claimed now, it's going to be a full-on crash here onto the site as smokes go off and players stomp towards. Whizzing here's got a strong pre-aim, at least a collapse and collateral. 2 come through and it's clean. As they're trying to find some more, it's going to be a huge free K. There's now Oblivion with numbers up here, trying to fend off some more Meow Gaming players, and with full control positioning, it's down to more than a 1v3 situation to try and close it out.
Oh, it absolutely is, and MJT is low. Rewind being found there. The tap's not quite, but absolutely hitting the shots. Moore just has to do 2 more, and MJT is low. He knows where Rewind is. He knows where MJT is now. But MJT just finding the shots with the Sheriff as they bring themselves up 8-5, and they win the first pistol, which is so crucial for them cementing this lead and running away with it.
And again, it just reflects so much, because heading into the second round here, it is going to be a bit of a force buy now. Oblivion want to try and at least convert with a wider range of weaponry, but again, Meow Gaming have to respect the fact that an eco just simply has to be, it needs to be respected, because Oblivion XC now converted with a 3-round lead, and I think into this one it's going to be really difficult, especially for the side of Meow Gaming trying to re-establish themselves.
And on Oblivion doing something that we didn't see this as much from Meow, but Oblivion seeing that and just doing the more safer buys, just doing the Marshall, the full shields, absolutely trying to, you know, make sure those guns stay up. But MJT, escaping with by the skin of his teeth. One thing actually that hasn't been pointed out just yet, these comps do mean that any damage is permanent, and as Moore and Demon 2 both make that right. Profit though picks up 2, not quite able to find a third as Doxy finally picks him up. Meow showing a very comfortable push onto the A site. This wasn't how it was meant to go for Oblivion.
But Whizzing has got control of Heaven. Complete sightlines as well for the gate retake if need be. But look at this setup here again from the side of Meow Gaming. They're respecting all sorts of contact, but this crossfire can only initiate so much. As now Demon does find a clear kill, and more from the backside. It converts, and it's wonderful from Meow Gaming. Oblivion could not handle the crossfire. Too many corners to check, and not enough time to readjust. It converts, and it's beautiful.
Demon, that was the nuttiest, like, just, oh my days, that trigger discipline from Demon. You had a player standing right on your head, shooting down your KO. You don't flinch. The Sova drone comes up, and you use that as an excuse to jump up onto the box and take down the Sova, while the enemy that just killed your KO is tucked, not able to refrag, and you do that to pick it up, as then Moore backs him up. and completely finishes the job. Or sorry, not more. The Viper from the side of Meow picks him up.
Huge contest in mid here as well. Look at Meow Gaming spreading out early, trying to get some clear-cut kills, but still, it might just convert as Moore does get the first blood drawn in this sort of style. Especially now, it is going to be really difficult for the side of Meow Gaming to at least progress forward. Henny with the Sheriff is just going to line players up here as well and take things into consideration. Low Spark still in the picture. Meow Gaming now dwindled away down to 2 players.
These back-to-backs, man. I mean, geez, it wasn't meant to go like that for Oblivion, but it wasn't meant to go like this for Meow. These are absolutely incredibly surprising rounds to come through. Although Zoic, with the full Phantom in hand, Prophet no shields, MJT very low as well. This Phantom can definitely be enough. The spike is down, and the players from Oblivion have to know it's there. They will, in fact, know Prophet would have gotten that comm as soon as the Sova was shot down, but they have to give up that spike to Zoic. They have to hope he pushes into B, and it looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. He has both smokes ready, 1 TP left, and Henny and co have nothing really except a couple guns to maybe make something, to maybe, hopefully, carry them through.
Oh, Sheriff shot just about misses, but Zoic is there to be at least get ready. So at this point now, you just want to force a gunfight and find a kill. It does raise your confidence a little bit as one comes through clear. MGT just holds the off angle. And with 11 seconds left as well, it's Henny in the back. It's a good setup here as well from Oblivion to retake. They're playing patient, hearing audio cues, and just swinging. But Zoic, he gets a second. And my goodness, at this point now, Oblivion, the play call needs to come in. Because right now, the spikes get planted. Again, the juggle pick from the side of MJT. It converts at least some information. Zoic needs to adjust. But my word, you're converting a 1v3. And that's beautiful. Meow Gaming respond against the odds. And get it at 7-8.
Zoic to stare death in the face, and that death being MJT. That jumping peak from MJT should have been enough. MJT thought it was. He was happy to walk away. Zoic should have been, but he's stoic. Zoic being stoic, ladies and gentlemen, it's the only way to put it, as he absolutely maintains composure, plants the spike, and completes a godsend of a clutch.
That's beautiful. And it's a great response as well from Meow Gaming. That was an eco round to boot. That's huge for the economy, and it's huge at least heading into the remainder of this map. As Oblivion playing a lot more static and a lot more careful. Do respect that Meow Gaming have got bullets in the arsenal, have got the aggression in the locker. It really needs to be a case of how much can you break down in such a short amount of time. That already was a difference maker in that last round. Heading to this one though, again, Viper will active on B, but at the same time again on A, you are playing a lot of fire with fire here. Still dicey in the middle. There's at least Demon 2 does some contact on the utility. Oblivion XC going to try and respond here fast. Market needs to spin the menu, but very passive from Whizzing. It's a great play still. Keeping numbers in the books for at least the first minute of the game.
No, they really do. And all of a sudden here, the tempo is suddenly shifted. Meow a lot more patient than Oblivion were, giving them a lot more respect. But I mean, I say giving respect, but Zoic absolutely still disrespect. I'm going to be firing back to that round for a few rounds to come, ladies and gentlemen, because genuinely, Zoic may have just. If Meow Gaming win this game, Zoic, and that round started it all, but MJT really trying to put a stop to that before it can even start, gets the spray down, trying to get through the smoke, picks up Docs as well, picks up Zova as well as the knives come through, Rewind backing him up in the generator push, and it's just more all the way in this back line, maybe trying to get ready for the Viper lineups, but not going to find anything as MJT finds him as well and puts a 4K in the books.
It's fourth that round, simply gorgeous. And realistically speaking as well, Meow Gaming were just simply walking to their death. A firing squad from the front side, from heaven to hell. Every single synergy on the side of Oblivion was on point. But realistically speaking here, James, the stats don't lie and so does the economy.
No, they really don't. Meow Gaming still thankfully able to get guns, but these light shields going to be looking a little scary. Whizzing seems like he's opting not to buy up the shield, which may come to haunt him later. The Killjoy setups that we are getting to see a bit more of now that this defense side comes through is it does seem like it is going to be an A push. Meow immediately giving up that Viper or more, trying to gain all that sight, all that util, all that control. Silver Dart goes down, and Whizzing actually rotating away, and they seem happy enough to let the Killjoy util and Henny just in the side of B in his own to be enough to hold this.
My goodness me, it's aggressive early from the side of Meow. They want to try and get through, but the Viper ball just completely cuts them off. It cuts them off to the point now where they have to respect it, and responding again, an open smoke needs to be played here. Henny's so far up, the support needs to come in now from the side of Oblivion. They do understand at least a play call, because regardless of it, you can't give up A. Meow Gaming playing a spread so perfectly. The spacing is very high level, especially respecting at this point. Anything can happen at any time. First point of contact does initiate lots of change of That's change of kills, but again, you're just replacing it off of the set utility.
There's not been very much in the way of flanks coming through either. We see Wizzing immediately pick up Demon's Demon trying to show off the aggression that MJT's been showing off so beautifully. Not quite to the same success, unfortunately, as that actually just ends up leaving Meow Gaming a man down. 35 seconds left in the clock. We've seen this timer run down a few times before. We've seen some absolutely incredible stuff happen. The Omen smoke comes through, the Viper wall goes up, Henny's cut off, but this all comes down to when he swings. Moore has a lot of control right now, and they don't seem to know as he picks up one. The refrag comes through, Henny picks it up. But oh my days, that ribbon of green and blue absolutely coming through as Prophet finds the last kill, and now 14 seconds left, no spike, Cataclysm, fortunately for himself, gets picked up by MJT.
Then there really isn't much more you can do there if you're inside of Meow Gaming. Again, off of the cluster, off of the trades, it was still one player advantage, and Oblivion Exceeders capitalized again off of an easy 2v1 situation, respecting either side, respecting the potential positioning as well from Meow Gaming, as we do see the first, at least the first timeout from the second half here. Realistically speaking, Oblivion just taking time to regroup, really capitalize on what went right and wrong in the second half, but realistically, it's going to be coming down to the side of Meow Gaming because the player's got to charge his mouse.
Absolutely, you know, that wireless buff can only go for so long, but maybe that wired buff, maybe that little bit, maybe that like what second of ping, maybe that's all they needed. Maybe that like extra millisecond too of that connection, maybe that makes all the difference. But they got to be coming up with something now. It's interesting seeing that because I mean Oblivion have been quite comfortable, so them just maybe forcing Meow as well to, you know, slow down and think about it. It's interesting whenever the momentum's on your side to, you know, force out a timeout, but who knows, maybe that's just to get into Meow Gaming's head even longer. Make them stew in the fact they're 3 rounds down, make them try and come up with something, maybe get them to overthink and actually misplay.
Yeah, that could be one of the plays in the card here, but where Meow Gaming, well, at least the way Meow Gaming needs to respond is with at least a round converted. Because realistically speaking, it's been very back and forth for the second half. But Oblivion XC having the lead in the first and establishing it more in the second, it just needs to come down to so many different factors. Again, the utility coordination, the crossfires, the team shooting. You do want to try and coordinate these things a little bit better. Converting the first blood, but Demon 2 having knives early is going to be your biggest impact point if you're on the side of Meow Gaming.
And they have been demons before. That op though out of his hands, which has actually been making him struggle just a little bit more than otherwise we might likely see, as Prophet and the Omen just kind of gathering through, rating, rewind, absolutely on it. The counter flash as well, super pivotal, as it does keep Prophet absolutely safe, and absolutely looks like, oh, there's gonna, no, okay. I seen Prophet getting the flash ready. No, they're ready to swing this naked. That's absolutely incredible. They read the flash. Rewind's good for 2, but Doxy and Cataclysm find 1. MJT having to swing through the mid to absolutely pick up those refrags, and all of a sudden, Spike's all on its own.
MJT there winning the last for the battle of mid. As now we are seeing at least both players from the side of Meow Gaming here collectively try and intrude on either side. It didn't let Spike those in mid, so you are respecting from every sort of position here if you're inside of Oblivion, watching every single point of entry. But the one person that can get through will not be cleared. I do think that Meow Gaming and Zoic, off the paranoia contact, will try and at least reclaim this. And if he does, it's a case of once Spike is back in your hands, you need to try and convert the site and re-clear. Or the shots themselves might just be good enough. As now you're finding a clear 2. You're lining everyone up. And it's Zoic again with another conversion and another clear-cut round as Meow Gaming do respond in tandem.
I mean, I was going to say, I wasn't sure if Zoic's top of the leaderboard, but he absolutely should be. This man has came out of nowhere and done some absolutely unspeakable things. I did have a quick glance at the chat there. He has been absolutely impressing the hell out of them. I would like to try and see if we can get Zoic being stoic as a wee bit of a shout, because genuinely this man, no fear, no crumble under pressure. 3 people swing into him, he takes them all down. Another person swings into him, he meets them. This is the type of play, this is the type of confidence that gets you aces. And I would not be surprised if Zoic were able to pick up one in this series.
Oh, quickly, more tagged up, has to run away, but so does MJT respectfully. We'll call him for the Viper Ball at least to divide the pressure a little bit for either side of B. But looking at how it is in mid as well, you need to make sure again that the care from Oblivion is at least respecting the pressure, or maybe at least Wizzing can go forward and surge, because your timing, your peaks and your angle from 2 contact points really puts Cataclysm in a weird spot where he has to respect the pressure. But so does Demon. He runs on forward and clears up on A, and now Meow Gaming have to respond here. Realistically speaking, a 3v4 situation, but still side control. You want to make sure again that the care crosses the line on A, because that spike is flirting in a very dangerous area.
Zoic just always has the control of these areas that you wouldn't expect someone to have. I don't mean to keep harping on about him, and it's not to say that any other players here aren't doing exceptionally well either. But Zoic, you always cut to him, and he's in A heaven, where Oblivion should be. It cuts to him, and he's mid. The control that, and the absolute control this controller is giving me out cannot be overstated at the moment, as he absolutely does it. Finds another one onto the Killjoy. And that's the space this man has created as Henny trying to push it through, but not likely to get anything as the scan comes through. Gets dropped.
Yeah, Gaming convert beautifully. I think Oblivion XC there. Although having 3 ults on the board in the VU3, I think opting to save them for the next round is the wiser idea, especially speaking in terms of the scoreboard. Logically, you do not want to sacrifice rounds realistically, or your ultimates in those rounds where you know that it's going to be a difficult retake. You want to save as much power as you can. As we do head into the next round, though, now Gaming here have to at least try and change some more confidence. The way that Zerk's been playing again, especially in the last 2 rounds where those 3Ks were initiated, and that 1v3 to boot, it was re-injecting confidence. It was re-injecting the life force they need to get through. Oblivion XC started off strong, but now the game and even Stevens.
No, and absolutely, even Stevens is exactly what we came for here. Both teams know exactly what's on the line. Both teams should be bringing their A games, and we have absolutely seen that so far, as these pushes have been, these executes have been excellent, these retakes have been fantastic, these clutch plays have been out of this world. We're only in map 1, we've got a lot more to do, hopefully all the way. Each team bringing each other to their absolute limits, as the pacing has just completely slowed down, and it looks like we actually are going to be seeing the first fake of this entire map. We see the smokes come down onto that catwalk side, onto the A site from the side of Meow, as they all slow walk over through spawn and get ready for this B push.
Look at it right now from the wall. You need to make sure again inside of Meow Gaming that you're initiating. And send the Viper so far up here in a position where it does force an awkward retake. But the XC though, do respect it and find it clear. Prophet knows already what's going on and gets first blood drawn in this half. And now as more utilities thrown, the smoke will back off and at least defend. It enters a clear sight now for the side of Meow Gaming. And now Oblivion only holding strong here, not sacrificing anymore.
Speaking of sacrifice, not sacrificing anymore until that moment where Demon accepts his own sacrifice. But that Hunter's Fury, it's been so scary. Henny picks up one. The last shot not going to find, but it's already done more than enough. It hits Zoic for 80. It kills Henny entirely. Now Wizzing and Rewind and JMD all coming through, getting ready. Dogsy getting absolutely timing. Rewind finds 2 in a gorgeous flick, and now all of a sudden it's just Cataclysm in that backside. 1 versus 4. Paranoia. The running down, the footsteps are coming, and Henny picks him up, bringing Oblivion to 11-9, 1 round point away from match point for the side of Oblivion.
It's impressive now as well as the 4 players staying up. You are saving the lockdown and from the shadows for latter rounds. So Oblivion XC, not just in the driving seat, but they can work with so much in the remaining portion of this map. They realistically can cut and divide the map into spots. So Meow Gaming, despite having strong setups, just simply can't respond to the adjustments in time. They're going to have to hold very static, at least very static holes, and then aggress forward at times where you do see the side of Oblivion just simply not react.
They seem to be happy. They're playing it so patiently. They're playing it so controlled. Not one thing seems to be phasing them. And one thing I want to point out, Prophet may be at the bottom of the leaderboard right now for the side of Oblivion, but that read onto Moore, to know that Moore would be on his right side whenever he peeked out a market, that was insane. And I was expecting Moore to just pick up everything, and oh my day, speaking of everything being picked up, Demon's lucky that updraft saves his life. But just very quickly, yeah, I was not expecting Moore to just get dropped like that, and it completely opened the round up.
Look at this Viper pit as well, utilised perfectly, but MJT still countering even in spots where likely you wouldn't expect him to. As Meow Gaming do play after plant, they are going to call in every single ultimate online to try and capitalise. Still the lockdown though in the picture. We'll look to isolate, we'll look to try and fry a couple players in the mix as 2 get detained. Wizzing now can just play around with his food.
That shouldn't have happened. The Hunter's Fury absolutely just pixels underneath the lockdown. Cataclysm not expecting it and not adjusting for it. As Oblivion now bring themselves up to match point. That's absolutely heartbreaking. I have never seen a Hunter's Fury be that close off. And I think if Cataclysm watches this, Cataclysm should be watching this VOD just to see what he can do differently. That is a note that he must take, because that was heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking as well. And look at this force bar coming in from the side of Meow Gaming. Back-to-back rounds with no success really has rendered their economy a little bit on the weaker side here, James.
No, it's scary for them. What can you actually do? You have to make this through. Oblivion now on match point. Meow have to win 3 back-to-back, and that's just to bring themselves on to overtime. They're against MJT and the Knives, which he's been absolutely deadly with. Rewind from the shadows. Hasn't been anything too impactful, just been getting a little bit of information and then very happy to move on. But MJT, who no one's there from the side of Meow to pick him up as he absolutely dashes into what could have been his death. Very lucky to get away with his life.
Look at this right now from sort of Oblivion, despite having one round away, also have completely got ults on the board. As the warrior does come in to at least stagger the push, the flash will counter that, and boom, players can rest forward. Now Freebie, as Prophet has to respect the angle, has to hold from just one gun barrel. With minimal support, it will be clear to me as what they want to try and do here. Meow Gaming will get tagged up and will get utilised here. It needs to be a case now, how can you coordinate everyone else on the map to collapse into 1 point?
I know, Moore's already trapped over there and they don't realise it. That's quite unfortunate for Meow. That staggering that you mentioned, that positioning, that was crucial. Meow Gaming could have just pushed on, completely collapsed on top of the A side. They only had to deal with Rewind and the KO, but now they have to deal with a lot more. The JMTs already came through. There's a lot more in position and they now know where Moore is. Cataclysm having to try and bail him out. Looks like he's going to be able to get himself out with the help of his own wall. As the molly comes through on the logs, it's going to be wasted, unfortunately, for him, but at the very least they now know no one's going to be hiding there. As Rewind gets caught out by the KO nade, chipped through as Demon uses that to finally push onto this A site. 27 seconds remaining as the push starts.
And look at this right now. The first few engagements go down, but it's still living on top. As now within the last 20 seconds, if you're on the side of Meow Gaming, we are seeing Cataclysm here at least make the play call to send it towards B. And it is a smart call at least as well. If the Viper wall in play, the swing needs to be clear. But my goodness me, with the kill there that Henny found, it completely breaks apart the attack from the side of Meow Gaming. As numbers are depleted, players are falling. Oblivion XC take the first map in this best of 3.
And it was quite a very ending off, quite a decisive finish as well. There was a lot of back and forth. There was 4-0 into 4-4 into 8 into 6 into 5-7 into 9-9, I think, and then 9-12. Just oh my days.
You're blown away, aren't you, my friend? I am too, especially with XC. I mean, when you look in terms of history in this tournament, they've come all the way from losers round 1 to taking the first map in this grand final and really putting the pressure early on to Meow Gaming.
They don't have the answer for this, at least very quickly. They did at the start. They had some beautiful plays, and I do want to bring up as well, I mean, I don't want to mention his name again. I feel like all I've done since that one little clutch was mention him, but he has, like, that should have been so much for Meow, but for Oblivion to answer back, you know, Zoic should have been able to create so much space and do everything. For the fact Oblivion were able to make those reads, bring that back, when someone was creating such demanding space, such demanding control is quite extraordinary.
It really is extraordinary as well, but you do need to give a really, really deep look into the side of Meow Gaming at this point, because upon reflection of that first map, their back's now against the wall because they're only 1 away from losing this series, so lots of internal evaluation is going on, especially heading into this fracture. But realistically, as the storylines unfold, we're going to have a quick break, but after this, don't worry, Fracture coming up next. Well, everyone, welcome back after that really enthralling map 1 on Ascent. I really think, James, as well, instant reactions have to come into the play here because Oblivion looks so strong at the gate.
No, they really do, and just making sure as well. So that was Oblivion's map pick, which explains why they were so confident on it. But now we have, and I've even had a quick go through to see the fans of Zom coming through, as now we move on to their map pick, and their map pick being Fracture is definitely going to be some deadly moments. If you have setups ready, if you have executes ready on Fracture, it is near impossible to defend.
Absolutely, but in terms of it as well, you have to win your map pick if you're deciding on gaming, because now we're looking into the series and looking into the wider scope of it. The side of Oblivion are only one map away from converting this and taking the Beacon EWI minor to bed. You know, they really are enjoying themselves thoroughly so far in the series because of that map 1 win. And now you're looking into the second portion. Now gaming backs against the wall have to respond fast and quite convincingly too if they want to take this.
Which I really hope they can do, because if they do, then we are now at a point, Connie. Every map is tournament point for this. Someone is going to be winning in the side of either of these maps, and then if Meow manage to take their map pick of Fracture, which to be honest, as I've said, I really think if you're kind of coming in and picking Fracture, you have some really, you've got a lot to live up to. But if you're that confident picking Fracture, surely you've got something, which means I'm going to call it. We go to map 3.
I think as well you do have to highlight the initiators on Fracture as well, because the amount of play calls and the amount of speed when it comes to entering is very different to the rest of the map pool in Valorant. I think only realistically you could say that Lotus does bar some similarity in terms of pacing and flow, but again Fracture really is the granddaddy of all initiator playstyle setups, and realistically we could see some mirror comps. I do think when it comes to the side of Meow Gaming, they're going to be a lot more structural and a lot more fundamental because this is their map pick again. So realistically speaking, hopefully the confidence comes through and we're going to be seeing some really logical choices being made in the map.
And that ebb and flow you mentioned, Connie, it's so relevant in Fracture just because of everything that you have to create, every space that you do have to make yourself out of. On the attacking side, you have to make sure that you've got main and dish secured. If at any point you decide to lurk onto dish, you might be able to catch out a defender. You might be able to catch out a defender, get a free kill. All of a sudden, that's dish clear. That then leads into Belt having to be taken control of, Sand to be taken control of to stop that dish clear. If that space hasn't been controlled, all of a sudden there's one person likely on A site absolutely crying in a corner while the rest of their team witnesses the screams as they likely die. The bomb gets planted, and then the same thing happens in the B site if you don't have arcade control. If you don't have arcade control, you lose tower. You lose tower, you lose your man on the site. All of a sudden, it's the rest of the team sitting on generator or cafeteria, witnessing the attacking side take that map control, take that bomb plan, and then you have to make quite a difficult post-plant situation retake.
I feel like as well, James, I have a question thrown your way. Who really impressed from that last map? Because for me, again, you can draw connotations to Zoic and the impressive performances to at least convert 2 rounds on the board so handedly to the side of Meow Gaming. But in my sort of opinion, I think MJT and the Jet really is going to be a force to be reckoned with coming up in the Fracture.
I was going to ask you the same thing, because genuinely, I mean, JMT, so we had a quick look through the scoreboard there. JMT absolutely dominating. I think it was around 24, 25 kills JMT walked away with, an absolute juggernaut of these pushes. But not, to be honest, like, don't worry, JMT, you already had that match MVP, but highlighting the rest of Oblivion to be able to create such a very confident push for JMT to be able to create like the util from Prophet. As I said, Prophet was happy down at the bottom of that scoreboard, but that did not mean that man was doing anything less than exactly what you want your KO and Initiator to be doing, as you pointed out.
Interesting side here from the attackers. Reina being locked in for Moore and Harbour. You're initiating lots of stun, wall-to-wall gunfights being initiated here. But I think realistically as well, when it comes to Meow Gaming, yes, it's a very interesting comp we're seeing now from the right-hand side of the screen. But as we draw to the left, a lot more time, a lot more caution from Oblivion. I think lots of conversation being had here, especially with, the first map going their way. They do want to take things at least relatively seriously here and not throw away any opportunity to get a solid composition locked in. But Cypher, pretty meta so far.
I'm absolutely loving. I'm so glad Cypher's got his little renaissance, despite the fact that Riot keep killing him in every trailer, and then they baited me with the beautiful April Fools, the little April Fools trailer of Cypher's game, where the camera could hold guns and the cyber cage worked like a Killjoy lockdown. It was absolutely incredible. So seeing Cypher finally come up and witness the glory as a really, really flexible Sentinel is something I'm so happy for, because when Chamber got added originally, there was literally no reason to play him. I'm so glad he's found his way back into this.
Risking now as well, 10 seconds left. It has to be a clear cut on his stance from him. Meow Gaming here going for a very off-meta composition, but yet one that can work in many different ways. Whereas we do see the side of Oblivion XC something a lot more traditional as well, with the Breach coming into the picture and the Cypher. They're going to be playing a lot of heavy take here, a lot of heavy retake, whereas Meow Gaming is definitely a static sort of lineup here. Composition-wise, they are, of course, going to be dicing up the map with these wall players coming in from the Harbor and the Viper. The Reyna as well, I think, at least they're trying to get a rogue player in the picture, a lurker, someone strong that can at least wipe some players off the board before they've even set their feet on the ground.
No, absolutely. And you mentioned those two walls, so this is interesting. It's very rare you see Harbor and Viper, because usually what you want to have, you know, as you said, they're very static. Both of them have walls, you know, the big long wall that carves up the site, but they don't have orbs. So usually the way you see the double controller make people fight is one person that's a more flexible smoker, things like your Brim, your Omen, your Astra. She's been seeing a lot more kind of play, particularly on the Pearl. That wall. With Harbor, Viper, Harbor not so much, because the wall does come back, which is, you know, which obviously is fantastic for him. But it does mean you don't have the flexibility of your smokes. You want these attacks to be consistent. You want them to be coordinated, because if you sacrifice any of this util, you're basically not getting it back for 34 seconds.
As now we do into the second map of the series here. Fracture on the cards. Oblivion XC versus Meow Gaming. We are going to be seeing Oblivion XC starting off on the defensive portion of this map. Meow Gaming looking to get that spike then early. My friend James, let's get it on.
No, it's absolutely, as we see a lot, just ghosts coming through, a lot of the util really, you know, trying to make headway. Rewind with the, actually basically everything, opting to not even have the stem, or not the shield, sorry, opting to have the stem, not even, more buying the frenzy, which can be really, really scary. Fracture's a big map, but some very tight choke points as well. It all depends where you get caught out with these frenzies. Actually, a fair few frenzies from the side of both teams, which I'm very much respecting. But here we go, the flank through. Look at this Oblivion with 3 coming through A as Zoic is picked up.
Oh, so smart as well from Oblivion, as not only are they going to get man advantage off the rip here, you are going to put Meow Gaming in a weird spot here to try and counter. And looking at it is, Oblivion XC, despite all the trades going down, do represent a wonderful 3-to-1 mix-up here. And Loudmore needs to get something done, at least scream for a win here.
Does the dismiss, which is the right play, but really needs that HP now. Does swap out to the much better ghost in this range. 2 members swing. More is good for 1, but Rewind stopping what would have been a very, very clutch ace. And actually Oblivion taking the pistol round on Meow's map pick.
And listen, it was a great round there from Moore as well, converting for that round on for the ace, but Oblivion XC simply had advantage where it need be, James, and after that pistol upon instant reflection, you could say it was very textbook from the side of Oblivion, especially in this Fracture.
It was a very coordinated, but I maybe the textbook is definitely, it's not the word I'd use, but like it was in a way that it was an unorthodox play executed so smartly. Like that 3-man push through A isn't exactly what you see all the time, but that's exactly what you want. And geez, round 2 already off to a very frantic start.
Look at this right now, Meow Gaming committed towards A here, stacking all the players for some crucial gunfights, and it will result at least in control of the lane. Despite losing 2, you are going to be evening things up here in a 2v2 situation. With XC here, needs to try and at least clear off through mid and try and get themselves onto A, whereas Meow Gaming can just force early.
And that Harbor wall now coming through, absolutely carving up the site in exactly the way it should be. And this shouldn't have been the way. I feel like I'm going to be saying this a lot. This shouldn't be the way these rounds go. But Doxy and the Reyna now able to keep that control. And they've got the plant down now. They do have the guns, no shields, but Whizzing and that Sage coming through now from this dish site. They do need to make something work, but it's going to be unlikely.
Yeah, as well, on the afterplant, Oblivion XC can't really respond with the most prominent aggression here early, as we are seeing slows being used, only has a judge in pocket, and now in one situation here, it's not the most ideal situation, because again, the ramp player is dead, and he is now dead, and Moore is absolutely finding some pressure and some form to boot here on the Reyna, and it ties things up 1-1, now heading into the bonus round. This is where things get really risky for the economy.
It really is, and it's really interesting seeing more go from the Viper in Ascent to the Reyna and immediately coming out with such a dominant display. I mean, the team have 9 kills in total. More is 2/3 of that, with Doxy picking up the other third, whereas Oblivion, they've a lot more split. Rewind up in the top with 3, but then the rest all in 2s and 1s. But their Econ now, as you said, Connie, it's in shambles. It's just Sheriffs, it's just Pistols. Meanwhile, Meow Gaming basically full buys all across the board.
Yeah, and it's very intelligent if you're looking in terms of, you know, overall aggression, because this competition just invites the early trades. It really wants to be a mixy setup, but the way that Oblivion XC try and counter it is with some incredible flank plays, but Doxy just about finds 2 clear, but info call's good enough now for Meow Game to start wrapping back here and clear some players.
That Disneyland ride is absolutely not up to code as the 3 people die all the way through it. What an absolutely great read from the side of Meow to expect that push through on the ropes, and this is what you expect from a team who pick Fracture. This is the type of stuff you expect. They were so ready for Oblivion to try and do a super big rope push that Doxy was able to pick up too. He wasn't able to pick up all of them. I mean, the Phantom only does have so many bullets, and when you've got that much flesh to try and peel through, eventually you will go down, but it was enough. And then Moore and Co just to come back up, finish the job off as Meow now take the lead in their map pick.
With these core 3 rounds out of the books, now we are going to be looking into the mid portion of this game. Oblivion XC looking pretty shaky right now, and Meow Gaming, off of some incredible ecos and some very convincing round wins, will have the economy boost heading into this one, alongside so much more heading into the next few rounds. But the way the push is going to spread out, Oblivion XC here defending an early stun, and at least as Cam will get some information here onto the players collapsing onto site. Meow Gaming here just have to at least fend off the pressure coming in from all entry points from Generator all the way onto Cap.
Exactly, and that Phoenix ult immediately, at least it does clear out. You would rather that be the Phoenix ult than your Phoenix himself. So at the very least, that Oblivion not getting as much value, but that's already an ult committed from the side of Meow. They do have the I specifically learnt Harbor's ult for this stream, and I've already forgotten the name of it. I think it's like the drop down or something. I'm just going to call it the gong, as I've started referring it to, just because that sound cue for when it is cast is absolutely unmistakable. And it looks like, though, it was a fake rotate as Meow now pushed back on with that ult, and they're going to come through.
Oh my goodness me. Players drop now, and even up 4v4 here. Oblivion XC going to try and defend this, at least get a retake on the board, because Meow Gaming already have side control, and alongside the walls of Harbor and Viper is completely fencing off Meow Gaming here on full control. Oblivion XC to break through here, at least find some kills, but with flashes on the board here and an aftershock, you're going to rely so much here on Profit to really make an entry.
Oh no, exactly, and that wall now coming down, but the Skydog finds, the Skydog gets enough info. Doxy actually gets one more, picks up Rewind as well, trying to swing off of it. Wizzing trying to crouch under Moore, is not able to as Moore picks him up. That pop flash coming through, does flash Moore actually though. Cataclysm maybe making a mistake. Henny with a beautiful shot. There is no way, ladies and gentlemen, cover your ears because I'm about to scream if this happens. Zoic though, once again, Zoic is stoic. Does not swing immediately off that retap on the bomb. Picks up Henny to bring Meow 3 rounds up on that board.
Yeah, at this point now you do want to call a timeout if you're honest with Oblivion, because nothing really has gone right there, especially with some heroics near the latter portion of that round. It really hasn't been structured, and it really hasn't been a case now. Despite all the setups, despite all the ideas, we are seeing Meow Gaming just get so many clear entries, and even better than that, they're just capitalizing here on the amount of stuns, the amount of walls and pressure. This composition that on paper doesn't really fit the normal mold, but realistically has worked pretty well so far in the opening rounds here against Oblivion.
No, and it seems like it's such a well thought out composition. Like, particularly, like, speaking of compositions, Connie, for Meow particularly, it was something I wanted to say earlier. The 2 duelists that you have, so there's no Sentinel on the side of Meow Gaming here. It's only controllers. It's 2 controllers, 2 duelists, 1 initiator. There is no like flank watch or anything. But when you have 2 walls that can go up on the side of Viper and Harbor to carve out a site, then someone with such fast flashes as Phoenix or Sky's pop flash plus the lair, you can tell that this has been such a purpose-built, constructed composition from the side of Meow that it's really going to be giving Oblivion a lot of difficulty.
Oh, definitely, and look at the spread here as well from Meow Gaming. Entries from either side of the map, and Oblivion XC are just forced now at least to try and alleviate some pressure here early, but what they are sacrificing again here is that Cypher pressure. Again, the setup's going to do so much, but with the wall coming in early, Oblivion XC do want to try and at least alleviate some of the pressure here early. I mean, look, it's very, very tactical for A here. They are expecting off the contact from the wall to greet some players, but the intelligence of Meow Gaming, you just simply can't underestimate. It's very smart. They're going to give up all pressure here from the backside and at least initiate from the front when they know, or at least hope they have them advantage off the rip.
It is not. It's genuinely, if this is what Meow are expecting, to have baited out 4 of Oblivion to let them rotate through their spawn. They've already seen Oblivion do it once before. They know, and this is exactly looks like it's going to be happening. There's going to be a lot of rope usage as MJT and co all slow down. Whizzing able to pick one up on more as well. This might not go exactly how Meow planned, which is incredible to say because this looked so well thought out from them.
Now as all this utility's being used, the point of contact really comes from ramp. Cataclysm sticking down Spike early. And now time on the board here, trickling away here for Oblivion XC. Although numbers of advantages going their way, that Raze really can't do much on initiation, or at least sacrifice her life to get through on the board and keep things relatively understandable. As the flash comes out from up top, it's really difficult now for Oblivion to get onto site. As Rewind drops down, you're going to be seeing at least coverage from both sides of the coin here. And now as Zook finds the first onto Henny, the trades will come on in. Still advantage though in the side of Oblivion for the most part, but Cataclysm is keeping things so controlled. And now time trickling on down, it's the 1v2 situation. Oblivion XC, despite all of that entry, could not get it done, and they are going to lose to 3v4, especially after a round where Meow Gaming look to try and chain one back. They just keep chaining and chaining and chaining.
Yeah, they really do. There's not much in the way that's going to be stopping them here. It does seem like just consistently, it's super controlled from them, which is so strange because the way that was looking from Oblivion, I mean, Meow looked like they had the read on Oblivion. They understood exactly what they wanted them, what they wanted Oblivion to do, but then Oblivion almost read it right back, going back under the rope to try and get behind Meow Gaming, but they couldn't, just with the gun disadvantage that they had. It was all sheriffs, it was all pistols. It wasn't enough for them as Meow pick up the next round because of it.
Look at right here again, Demon just playing for the orbs. Wants to at least get the revive back online. And side of Oblivion do have quite a mountain to climb here against Meow Gaming. They are copycatting from the last round here, committing heavy towards A-Link and making sure again that Cypher can single-handedly hold down on B. But the Brimstone to accommodate as well, at least a nice adjustment. One of which that does initiate the pressure required. As Prophet now will throw the stun. They're going to counter again with a wall now on the side of Meow Gaming. As now the site gets fenced in. The first blood's drawn. Rewind there. Fall into the hands of Demon 2. And now Whizzing often hits reposition. Or at least it is a fantastic idea in the hand because you have to make sure you find a clear-cut kill. Which, although the trades come into full effect, Oblivion XC like flies here. And now reconvening at what looks to be a 4v situation. Meow Gaming here with Afterplant. Whizzing can only do so much. Especially when more is stunning and frying all at the same time. Prophet will be your last entry and your last point of contact. Oblivion XC may at least opt to save this round. We don't want the board as well. You just want to make sure again that you're just playing to your util.
No, exactly. You really do. Speaking of, Prophet, though, doesn't need that util. Just takes down more and more, getting a little bit greedy for it. But they are pretty aware there's not going to be any issues. There's not going to be any sudden explosion from Prophet. It is just a 1 versus 3. But that exactly there, what we just seen, that push from more, that leer through the wall, that is something that feels so coordinated, that feels so purpose-built by Meow and co. Little bit of flex in there from Cataclysm. But, yeah, it feels so purpose-built because what can you do on B when there's a Viper wall in your face and a Harbor wall that at any moment a Sky Flash could come through, a Phoenix Flash could come through, a Reyna Leer could come through that you accidentally turn because you're so focused on playing anti-flash, you turn the Leer and you don't shoot it. There's so much that Meow are forcing Oblivion to think about here, and it's so evident that Oblivion aren't quite ready for it.
As we do walk the line here in this fracture, it's very clear to me that the side of Meow Gaming here, the latter portions really are going to thrive with weaponry and the economy boost. But off the first point of contact, as trades go down, it's evening up a 4v4 situation here. Oblivion XC, though, will opt to use the revive here to try and keep things alive. Meow Gaming, though, can only get through what will be the first point of contact. Whizzing, though, clears more instantaneously, and that's going to be huge as well. Despite more pushing through the smoke, Oblivion XC, nowhere really to be found, as now we're going to be seeing quite a weird setup and spread here. The players dropping from either side there, because that Viper lurking through the mid cleared out the majority of Oblivion's rotating players, and now you've got to try and collapse fast here, and Prophet has to fight through the smoke, but one thing in favor at least is that Rolling Thunder, the most important piece of kit, especially when you're retaking from this sort of magnitude.
No, it really is, but it's very unlikely that we're going to be seeing it through if Prophet does decide to break it down. The flashes are kind of good to cut off, but Doxy is just there, ready to clean up both of them. That's such a difficult push, and that Harbour Cove is absolutely causing headaches for Oblivion. And yeah, as you pointed out, that lurk from Zoic, whatever, this man heard controller and absolutely took that literally. That man hears controller and he will take control of any part of the map. That lurk through that you pointed out, Connie, was done so surgically, so cleanly, and this is exactly what I expected from Meow. This is exactly what I expect from any team that optionally pick Fracture, and they have not disappointed in the slightest, as these full buys now basically come through in Oblivion. Super need this round.
It needs to be such a conversion if they do want to try and clear sight. But off the entry, again, the rain is causing huge problems for the side of Oblivion. But MJT popping the showstopper will get the first point of contact. And now, even more clearly than me, the first time we're really seeing man advantage go to way of Oblivion in this map. As the Sage Ball comes in, Henny now has to opt for the heal. And it does at least fend off the push here from Meow Gaming, as we are just seeing players collapse on and at least surgically remove every single player from the side of Meow Gaming. Within XC, looking very strong.
Oh my days, but we've seen more pick up kill after kill after kill. Now granted, he does have to do something incredible, but Zoic is all the way over in this A site trying to get control. But that Cypher Cam found the cam and the tripwire. He's pushing down Wizzing. He knows exactly where Wizzing's going to be. This is an absolutely fantastic read. He knows exactly he's going to be there. He has to be looking after the spike, but Zoic can't win the gunfight. Wizzing takes him down. It's just more 1 versus 3. Able to sidestep the breach stun. Not able to pick up the breach himself though, as Oblivion, they heed my warning, and they put another round on the board.
At this point now, again, Oblivion now have to try and chain 4 more to tie things up here in the half, but the way Meow Gaming are playing it is very tactical as well. The timeout will be needed, but really, upon reflection from those last 3 rounds, it really has been Meow Gaming here responding off that ascent.
No, I mean, genuinely, Meow Gaming, they've really wanted to show they are, because, so far at the very least, and this may change, but Ascent did go 4-0 and then suddenly switch back to 4-4 and then stay pretty consistent, back and forth through the rest of it. We're not seeing that right now, at the very least right now, and I say that as I emphasis on right now, because Oblivion, maybe that 1 round was what they needed, and Meow really, really intelligently using this timeout to hopefully slow that momentum down from Oblivion, maybe, get the adrenaline kind of wear that off, and just maybe try and keep this through, because we are seeing that judge come through from Henny. Oblivion aren't quite out of this just yet.
And now as we do head back into this round here, it's just going to be very understandable, the situation at hand here. Oblivion XC down by quite a margin here, as Meow Gaming have looked so strong, really re-established themselves in the series after that ascent, where Oblivion XC took them down to the dumps. It's going to be now a case of how can Meow respond and try and convert more on the board. Because as it is, Oblivion XC only really working with what they got, but still, Meow Gaming not just matching weaponry, but they just can afford round after round at this point here. The entry is going to be so clear to me. It's going to be so obvious, especially when the utility is coming in. The trays need to be there too, as now it's going to be a 3-1 split down the line. Meow Gaming firmly in control after that first point of contact.
I don't know if that was Meow's plan, but if that was Meow's plan to, completely cut down that momentum in a way to make Oblivion antsy, make Oblivion, the defenders, push into you. If that Harbour bounce is intentional, that's absolutely genius. That's insane. As Moore picks up another one onto Wizzing, and wow, such an aggressive push from Oblivion, completely shut down by the Phoenix and Doxy, as there's absolutely very little they can do now. I mean, it's just rewind. He does have the Brimble, but it's hardly going to be enough. He has to make something absolutely dreamlike appear.
At this point now, you do want to save your ideas, you do want to save your weaponry. Man, I think Rewind understands the real play at hand here. It can't be a conversion, it can't be a clutch situation. You said weaponry, and keep that Brimstone ult online for at least for the latter rounds in this half, because Meow Gaming played that beautifully there as well. You did see off the first engagement though, it was so heavy, it was so stacked towards the first point of contact on the B lane. The B link, they just couldn't find anything the side of Oblivion. Meow Gaming are just going to convert it here to make it a 7-2 so far.
And it looks like they're on track to really only run away with it further now. I mean, we're seeing these kind of shaky buys coming through. There's no jet from the side of either player. There's no economy manipulation, which is actually super rare to see. Jet being the most picked, I think, 70 times or something close to that digit in terms of how many times they've been picked over this beacon. So the fact that there's no jet and there's no chamber, the two agents that can manipulate economy, if you're on a save or a half buy, just pull out the knives. They're just as effective. You buy for someone else in your team to get a full buy. There's none of that. There is just straight up, once you're in a half buy, that's you. And Demon is trying to absolutely clear out. This A site is empty, but it doesn't matter. It's all on B.
Yeah, look at it as well. Despite Harbor clearing off A, Oblivion is completely roped into nothing. They're going to expect to clear A and try and get something done, but the Cypher contact and the point of the call will have to wrap players towards, and there you are starting to see urgency coming from the side of Oblivion XC. Despite Wizen there getting a kill clearly onto Moore, and a second onto Zoik. It needs to be a bit clearer. It needs to be that one that does change the game, and that Brim ult is going to be the factor. And off the neutral theft as well, you can just play with your food here. Rewind will only get one more, as it's now going to be a retake. And an instant knockout there as Oblivion XC do get around back.
Maybe an interesting call. I mean, I can't see why that Brim ult was used, but I do think from the side of Oblivion, they were a bit, you know, from the side of Rewind, I think that was a bit too trigger happy with it, to be honest. It did seem like, you know, Meow weren't really going to be able to go anywhere. You know, they had the plant down, but there was already a lot of them down. The man advantage was so firmly in Oblivion's favor, as well as the positioning being in their favor, that who knows? Maybe they don't need that Brim ult. Maybe Rewind was completely right in that call. But if Meow Gaming are able to force something now with this Viper, this Viper's Pit, there's no Brim ult to kind of push more out of it anymore. There's only that Breach ult, and they have to make it work if that's what they go for.
As a cascade comes in, we are seeing Meow Gaming here start to really push forward, but they only counter that again with that Rolling Thunder, as now it's going to be lots of players contested on one focal point. The entirety of Meow Gaming have to get through, have to shoot, and they do find profit there in the line of sight. Despite all the contact and the Rolling Thunder, Oblivion XC still have nothing to show for it. Man down in a situation now where Meow Gaming have got ults on the line and can work to try and clear another site in hand. Wizzing, who has played so strong on the anchor, needs to respond fast.
That was absolutely insane, and Wizzing it is, but Cataclysm and Moore both pick up one. It's all of a sudden just the Brim again. Rewind can't find anything. Zoic picks him up. It's looking to be a 3-9, and that is now no ultimate for the side of Oblivion. There's no Breach, there's no Brim. That Viper's Pit, if Meow can get onto either site and plant, that Viper's Pit will go down, and it will be really difficult to contest. I do also want to point out very quickly, the Cataclysm on the counter Seekers from the Rolling Thunder, that was an absolutely beautiful play. That absolutely stopped Henny and Prophet pushing through, and it in fact actually ended up getting, I think, Doxy and himself a kill each, completely turning the tide of what should have been quite a definitive ult.
It's now the first point contact on ramp comes through. More find first blood and draw it indefinitely. And at this point now, if you're in the side of Oblivion XC, you want to clear players from this choke point, which the grenade does in quite convincing fashion. Now, Meow Gaming looking to try and break through early here, but Oblivion XC just simply can't respond to the pressure at hand. Despite all the calls, despite all the entry, you need to play it carefully. As Henny there finds Doxy. The 3-3 comes online, but so does the Viper's Pit, and that's where Ryan can find maybe a trade of his own. Still in all of that, Meow Gaming do find a plant. They do try and respond, especially with Wizzing putting shots down. More with the little flick, finds the head, and it's great from the side of Meow Gaming as they go for a 6-round advantage here, heading into the second half.
Damn, that was a bit scrappy, and I loved every second of it. That was absolutely incredible. Meow really pushing through on that dish, getting the picks through. Oblivion, though, trying to find it back. And that push through from the smoke from, I think that was Rewind or Henny, really trying to clear out, actually picking up Zoic, stopping the Viper's Pit, or bringing it down. But then that push from Wizzing, and that absolutely gorgeous flick from Moore onto Wizzing to put him down. I'm surprised they put more on Viper, because my man is running a clinic on that Reyna.
It's beautiful, to be fair. I think really are seeing the duelist role shine here for more in this particular map and mode combination. Though, as we are seeing the rounds develop, the pistol round will be the most important one in the second half, especially with the way Oblivion want to play it. It's going to be so clear to me, trying to get through onto A early. MJT there with the satchels will get through, but the Sage Wall does cut off all contact there for the most part on the front side of A. Now, at this point here, Sands needs to be cleared. It needs to be an injection of pressure here from Oblivion XC, and we are going to be seeing the trades favour them ever so slightly, with only one player separating the two in terms of life count. It needs to be a response here from the side of Meow Gaming. If they do try and break through this wall, they're greeted with iron sights, they're greeted with crosshairs, and it will just respond indefinitely to Meow Gaming converting the round in quite convincing fashion.
I mean, Cataclysm just saw, you said they needed to do something, and Cataclysm heard your request. Absolutely beautiful 3K, having a little dance on the spike, well deserved. I mean, Meow Gaming, yeah, they pick up that pistol round, and now this is gonna look so difficult for Oblivion. They have they have everything expected of them. Very little to do it with. They have very little in the way of guns. They are gonna go through that force, which, to be honest, yeah, if you lose this round, you're basically well, with this force, if you lose this round, there's a good chance you're losing the game. It's risky, but really you have to make something happen here as we go on. The full buy basically from Meow Gaming, though, as we push into what is the 14th round of this map.
And at this point here, the Hawk goes for A, doesn't find anything, so now we're seeing a free entry here from Meow Gaming on the south side of the map. Whereas Oblivion XC are in the complete opposites. They're going to dominate from the north here. Ramp is going to be your real entry point, and after the Aftershock as well, Demon 2 is finding some clear kills on the Spectre. Oblivion XC really have to get through and find some clearance. But that Sage Wall's going to slow down the push for the most part here. The contest here in mid, though, do determine the remainder of positioning here, especially when collapsing onto A, as Zoic and then the rest of Meow Gaming here need to find two clear-cut kills. And despite it all, MJT and Henny do get the relevancy, do find those headshots that really will open up the map here for Oblivion XC, which is so desperately needed. Down 3-10, they're just lining up every single player on Meow Gaming and finally get around back on the board.
Damn, they needed that bad, and they absolutely delivered. MJT and Henny in that mid absolutely cleaning up when they needed to. And there's something I want to say here, and it's something that's really kept a smile on my face, which was I was so interested to see how Meow Gaming would adapt to the fact that they'd swap sides, because their attack seemed very, very clean, very clinical. And I like how what they've done is essentially just taken back the attacking side, forced Oblivion to essentially play defense by just giving them the site for free, letting them plan, and then playing retake.
Looking at how they're going about it now, Oblivion XC are just really switching the afterburners here. An injection of confidence after that round really is starting to surge them forward. As now we are seeing position take early here. Look at this now from Meow Gaming. They're going to be great with some form of pressure here, but off of the nade from the raise, it does slow down the push, at least for the most part, here onto ramp. But off the cascade, you've still got to at least drop through the brim smoke. Henny, though, can't dodge the flash in time, and at least the Phoenix Wall cut for the most part to at least cut the map in half, get the pressure out the books. Meow Gaming, though, 4-4 right now as we are starting to see the rest of the trades here. It's going to try and at least be a resurgence here from Meow Gaming, but they can't find it. As Oblivion XC line up the lanes, get the bullets to the heads, and now we get to respect the save here because Zoic can't really get much done. He can't really get anything off the molly. MJT sprinting through with the stinger will at least keep things alive for the side of Oblivion XC.
That swift stinger play once again. Zoic off getting his own side of the map. Really good flank picking up that pick. I think that was was that Rewind, I want to say, or maybe Prophet. But yeah, they've been playing this so strangely, and Oblivion seem to be catching on and seem to be having to start a kind of understanding how to read this, how to counterplay it. They have been able to pick up those 2 rounds. Again, no team has won their bonus yet. No team has won the second round after winning the pistol round. I'm pretty certain every pistol round has immediately been met with a loss.
Yeah, it's been quite tough as well, and even after the pistol rounds, the eco round, and now we are in fact heading into what looks to be the post-bonus round. Oblivion XC did get some crucial rounds back there, so they are looking pretty comfortable in terms of weaponry. Meow Gaming, though, on the defensive side here, with a primarily duelist setup, can try and hold off the forces, but Demon 2 and more will be your points of contact, and they do so convincingly. As Oblivion XC fall by the wayside, the one player left standing is, of course, going to be Whizzing, the anchor, the man that needs to entry through ramp, and clear sight It's going to be difficult, especially with Meow Gaming having 5 players on the board.
5 players on the board, that spike down in A, whizzing. If you somehow do this, that prize money just belongs to you right now. Not able to get the picks, yeah, and Demon picks up a flawless, putting Meow Gaming 11 points onto that board. That really decisive Phoenix ult, the flash, fantastic. Stopping MJT, really pushing through that door, stopping any sort of execute coming through. It was just absolutely clinical, and now Meow Gaming at the very least all full buy, but is that a bug, or is everyone just opting for light shields? If so, that's a very interesting and very potentially unwise choice.
Yeah, no, so what I'm trying to do here at least is go for the Fnatic pioneering strat of the half buy, because what it does for latter rounds as well, when it is this mix, you do have more buys, especially in rounds where you do expect maybe not a conversion. But one thing that Meow Gaming do so well is off the points of contact, especially when you're looking for a 5-hit of Oblivion XC. They'll win the trades and they'll at least whittle down the playing field here to a 3v2 situation. And now if you are going to be Meow Gaming, it has to be almost an instantaneous response here to try and counter the pressure, especially from the south side of the map, where Oblivion XC with Spike in hand have the entry through so many different angles. That Viper does cut off at least the deeper part of the entry, but looking at the sky right now with Meow Gaming, that really is going to be an audio cue that you want to listen out for.
No, it really is, and they're probably going to get it because it is just whizzing now, and the Brimstone. Apologies, complete mind blank on that agent for a second there. On Rewind, there he is. The Flash doesn't find anything. Cataclysm doesn't quite have that information just yet, but when he does, Rewind only has 30 health. It's only down in the Cypher for full health, and this contact's about to be made. Cataclysm Kona swing actually just gets the info, doesn't need to. There's 38 seconds left. There is plenty of time for Oblivion to make a lot of decisions here, but this map control in mid, it's so dominant. The wall comes through, the spray from Whizzing, only good for one as Zoic picks him up, and now Rewind has to do everything. 30 HP in a dream.
And a post plant as well to defend, but with the Brimstone, it can be doable. Cataclysm, though, does have a heal in the books as well, so you could see some team chats coming in here. And looking at the way Viper is right now, Zoic is in no real shape here to contest gunfights. As the Hawk will go out there, it won't detect anything in terms of the south side of the map, but look at the Brim ult coming in here. It's going to be lethal. It's going to be clear cut, but you're still going to hold on for a bit longer. Oblivion XC can play time. Rewind's got so much to work for. New after Molly, Zoic is in no real position here to win this round. And off logic alone, it will be converted. As Meow Gaming, they are going to try and hold it. They're going to try and contest it. But the time just simply isn't on their side. As Oblivion XC, finally, after all that, do convert another.
Rewind, absolutely beautifully played, start to finish. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. I did say 30 HP in a dream, but I guess whenever you do have a satellite laser that can melt anything that touches your bomb, it's slightly less than just a dream. And in this case now, fully fledged reality. It's still very tight though for Oblivion XC. They really can't afford to let up another round. They do have the ult advantage coming through. A lot more of a really important and vital ultimates going into this 18th round.
And look at this right now, first point of contact. As F-Shot goes through, Oblivion XC here whittled down now to 4 players. Finally, Meow Gaming are starting to really re-inject themselves, especially with well-known first bloods they draw in these halves. But the revival come in, you're going to be seeing 5-5 even Stevens here. 75 seconds left for Oblivion XC to try and get a plant down, but look at the spread here from Meow Gaming. They have completely fenced Oblivion in the southwest side of the map, especially where you have so many points of contact to clear out. It's going to be hard now to try and win this one, but the retake is doable, especially with the pressure from the front side.
No, absolutely, and Oblivion XC absolutely running it down. MJT and Rewind able to pick up one. Zoic trying to get the refrag, only good for profit. And this flank now absolutely coming through. The Cypher still stays up. Those tripwires have to be dealt with. So they do know from the side of Oblivion, they know Meow's coming. The molly goes down. That is going to cut off quite a bit, and the spray comes through actually very nearly good for one as more swings in. Rewind picks him up, and this has to be, yeah, I mean, it's just whizzing in the underneath. Absolutely fantastic flank. Rewind picking up Cataclysm as well as he's funneled into his iron sights. The ults are gone now, except for this. Actually, only one ultimate gone for the side of the Sage Res, and what a great ultimate was used. Sorry, and MJT's. I knew there was 2 used.
And now it's going to be an eco round by the looks of things here for Meow Gaming. Really, which thing it has sort of slowed down for them, James, especially with Oblivion XC trading some back-to-back-to-back convincing takes.
No, yeah, it's been super. I mean, Oblivion, they're absolutely fantastic. The aggression was so ready. There was no one concerned about pushing. And we absolutely seen that from the side. I mean, MJT with that absolutely gorgeous showstopper, that is exactly what you want to be doing. You want to be blast packing, and you want to get up that kill, and then you want someone behind you to refrag you. You know it's very likely that that rocket's going to put you in a bad position, but if you get the pick and then get refragged as well, you have created so much space, and they did that absolutely beautifully. Oblivion not quite out of this yet.
And now, still the teams here at 5-5, but you're going to be seeing Doug come into play here. If it's only Meow Gaming, going to try and at least concuss, but look at this rotation already. They're expecting the potential flank here from ramp, and they're expecting at least a wrap through mid. Hence why they're only sending 2 now to try and firefight. The Spider Prophet there gets the first onto more, but no, MGT does spot a second. It's going to be a good flash, but still through the spray blinded. It's going to be Oblivion XC here, respond convincingly, as now it's whittled down to a 5-2. Meow Gaming here are only fenced in through CT and through Heaven. They can't quite make the challenges, especially if the Sage Wall they're blocking the front side.
That's so scary for them. What an excellent flash, as you pointed out, but what an excellent counter flash. MJT seen the Phoenix immediately go to box. Zom waiting for that shot to line up, get an absolutely clean shot on the whizzing. Every pick they get is so vital. There's a gap in the wall, actually. They may be mistake, but it does seem like actually that Resonate coming through. The breach stun as well picks up somehow both of them. Wow, that's an absolutely incredibly good breach angle to use as Prophet now. Going to try and stop Zoic on this flank. Doxy picks up another one, but that bomb's going to be taken down. Very unlikely. Rewind picks him up, and Zoic's all the way down at door. Not going to be finding anything as Rewind swings off the flash, and Oblivion. What was a dream is now possible in every sense of the word.
It is. I mean, listen, Meow Gaming do need at least some form of a timeout here. Some time to collect their minds and really try and search forward to chain 2 together. That's all they need as well, just to tie up 1-1 in the series. But Oblivion XC, excuse me, making me lose my breath here of the amount of comeback they're bringing to the board.
No, I mean, they're absolutely, I mean, I do want to point out as well, like, every single one of them, MJT, little bit, you know, kind of slower than we'd seen on the Ascent, but absolutely expected. But immediately, speaking of absolutely slower, this is not slow. This is a push and a half from Meow Gaming. They have to make this work.
It's going to be very convincing so far. Demon 2 now, of course, going to use the revive here, but so does the Harbour. Concussions now especially need to be dealt with. But look at it right now, Meow Gaming responding in very convincing fashion. They're going to wipe out the entirety of Oblivion. It's going to be now 1 player left on their side to try and make it work. Henny needs to get Spike converted, but Zoic's there, primed and ready, waiting for the kill. And now, only 1 round away from Meow Gaming to tie things up 1-1 in the series. Oblivion, will they force the overtime? Well, let's find out.
What an absolute showing from Meow. It seems like every time I say something, they are properly ready. Both teams have absolutely... I hope they're not listening in. That is cheating. No, definitely not. But the absolute reads from both these guys have been absolutely incredible. Meow Gaming knowing they need to get something on the board, hopefully put a dent in Oblivion's economy. But actually, Connor, you mentioned it earlier. That play for the half buy, Oblivion are able to still full buy this going into what could be match point, putting us to what could be the 3rd and final map. Or if Oblivion bring it all the way back, they win.
They do, but look at the way it's looked. Zoxy there finds an important kill onto MJT, and a huge 1v1 here between the Cypher and the Viper on either side to try and lock off the link control. But looking at Oblivion now, they've fully managed to get their way into tower. Rolling Thunder's still the picture for Profit. But at this point in the game, you do want to try and utilize as much as you can. Those Seekers there will completely halt at the side of Oblivion. Meow Gaming can just thrive on all front cylinders. Profit now needs to try and chain some kills, which 2 go through there. But in the 1v3 situation, you do need to try and use all that you can. Demon 2, though, says no regard. 2 shots are led to the head, and Meow Gaming tie things up here in this series.
Jeez, what an absolutely brilliant map. What a brilliant showing. What an I'm so happy that both teams took their map picks and took them pretty decisively. It was a bit closer than in some cases than I'm sure either team would have liked, but that was absolutely show-stopping from Meow Gaming as well. One thing I want to very quickly point out, Oblivion I think died with 3 ultimates to their name because they were not given an opportunity to use them. They were not given an opportunity to try and get some value, to try and get any util used. Meow Gaming understood that if you're dead, you can't use your ults. I don't think many people know that.
And I just think as well, when it comes to that last round there, you saw Prophet have the Rolling Thunder in the locker. I don't even think it crossed his mind as well to use it because you're just facing so many firefights head on with your player dropping around you. You just want to try at least find a kill, force something, but Realistically, they had plenty of time to enter onto site, or at least throw the kitchen sink towards the side of Meow Gaming. But really what capitalized again was switching the controllers, really taking, you know, taking more off of the Viper onto the Reyna. And they did find some success early on. I mean, listen, for the first half, for the first 6 rounds, 16 and 8 in kills to deaths, a 2.0 KD to boost. And that really was the entry and the engagement that you need if you are Meow Gaming there to at least get a map back on the board here in this best of 3.
And now here's the thing, we go on to Split. Split is such an interesting map to have as decider. I am one of the very few rare people, and a lot of people love saying Split is one way, defender side, which I can completely understand the point. I make the argument that if your executes in Split are something else, you can absolutely make Split an attacker-sided map. Now, it's tough, but it can be done, and I want to see if they do it.
I think they will do it, but will we find out? Well, listen, after this very short break here, we're going to be bringing you the Split in this 3rd and final map of this best of 3. We're going to crown ourselves a champion here in the NUEL Beacon EWI Minor. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you very soon.
Amazon University Esports Finals, sponsored by Amazon Prime and Own.
Here we are, right, is everybody ready? We are here, TSC, Visco next to... Got the sight, got the spike down, the retake's going to come in, Gold gets 1, Gold gets 2, headshots galore, Gold gets 3 as Lukey drops, and Go next to with a second flawless, bringing it up to a 9 points to 11.
It's a really clutch Marshall shot, but just not landed. One more bullet left, and Keller with a 360!
We're really in for a show tonight. I'm so happy it's turned out like this. Couldn't have wished for anything more than what we got.
Josh maybe working off that side cam. FSD much the same. Josh able to get Yokai and Embassy. They are going to be pushing it to 2 for PSC, but at least that's a 2 versus 3 and not a 2 versus 5.
Very tentative right now. There's so much to do. Oh my days, and the patience pays off as Embassy falls to the up. This is like, look at that flick. It's gonna be a proud let's clear that out a little bit, but I would not push. I was just about to say I would not push through that smoke. No, look, it's all over.
A Yokai is deadly on the Phantom. The Guardian's doing work and takes out Kello, but Tazi's and Fazi's gonna do it, and Lugi takes out both MSD and goal to bring us to an overtime. To at least kind of ruin their aim, but Embassy with a disgusting TV to top.
No way!
That's it is! Oh my god, Embassy in one ultimate!
MSC taking us to series point. They look so happy, quite rightfully so. That was the most insane play of the entire night, and it took us to series point. Suspect takes down Empathy. Oh my god, the trades are out thick and fast, and yet again it's just Yokai landing, and Josh comes out on top, leaving Go Next on series point, and that is the potential to be the end of the entire finals if PSZ can't pick it back up. And I think
the ground, Canadian with a flash through the power noise going through the seas is just goal, and Kelly's immediately going to get the Canadian. MSD picking up 2-3 gold as well. The Killjoy's being pushed, it doesn't matter, and Lukey's going to go down.
Go Next are your Amazon University esports winners.
Amazing comeback. It looked like all was lost at one point in that final map, but they picked it up. I've seen them looking a little bit dismayed at times, but right now they are looking so happy and so proud, and they have a right to be. What an amazing late game performance, really putting out, digging deep in the trenches and coming out on top, ready to raise that NUEL trophy.
Absolutely, well done from them, well done from both teams. Blood, sweat, tears, and last anything standing. Proper to the end.
Well, lots of drama here in the Beacon EWI Minor. We are going all the way to our third and final map for the sides of both Oblivion XC and Meow Gaming. James, what an absolute barn burner it has turned into tonight.
I was not going to have it any other way. I'm so glad this is the way it's turned out. For anyone not in the know, we are jumping into Split now as the decider. It is going to be an absolute slugfest. Split just rejoining us as well. Not in the most recent rotation, but in the rotation before that. I think a fantastic way to decide which team has been really good. We have seen Ascent going 13-11 to the side of Oblivion. We then jumped into Fracture, which went 13-8 on the side of Meow. Connie, any highlights?
I think in terms of the highlights, you really couldn't put anything and anyone together. You know, I think really we are seeing lots of star power here on the side of Meow Gaming. Really highlight performances coming in from Zoic and from Moore. But realistically speaking, I've been Oblivion, every single player itself, 1 of 5 in the team. Really, everyone has filled their role to a T and done absolute madness in the map. It really is going to be a case now of how can I convert it on the split as we do head on into our agent select.
And it's nice to see that despite the changes to her, despite the nerfs, it looks like at the very least Oblivion and maybe Meow both think Astra reigns queen on this map. Absolute PTSD for anyone that remembers that meta when Astra had just been added, because she was an unstoppable powerhouse. She made Split absolute nightmares to push if you didn't have a complete execute lined up and ready to go. No Omen for the side of either team as well, which in my opinion, Omen's someone that can really open Split up, and he's been the most popular controller run at Beacon.
Yeah, now we are seeing, of course, a different composition here, but really speaking, Oblivion XC sticking to their static holes and really hoping that this is a strong defensive half for them, as they are going to go in on the favoured side here. Meow Gaming have to at least fight fire with fire here. And really speaking, again, going for the Rage Jet combination, very common in Valorant for sure, but one of which here needs to be timed, needs to be executed to perfection.
Yeah, no, exactly. It really does. And rewind, we have seen him do some disgusting things on that controller. Some excellent clutches. One in particular from Fracture from the last map, which was an absolute, I think, 1 versus 3 with the orbital strike on 30 HP. So this man can definitely turn dreams into realities. But the rest of them equally so, as Cataclysm and Doxy look to run out that timer, as the game will hard select both Sky and Astra for them. Here we go. Single controller again for Oblivion and double controller for Meow.
What's so interesting though is the amount of pressure these characters can have on the map here. The Jet, the Raze and the Sky, they are simply going to be running down every single lane and at least coordinating some great pushes, because realistically, rewind, you want to highlight as well in Oblivion, having the Astra on this map is going to benefit the team to an extreme level, especially with all the utility that can be thrown to at least stagger and hold pushes and just keep players at bay, at least for a reposition. It's going to be so crucial, going to be so hard to call.
No, it really is, and I really think if anyone is calling this right now, you're a very, very confident person. I myself would not, and Connie, would you say you would?
No, never a chance.
Never a chance. I'm not a gambling man. But this is going to be an absolute showstopper. I really hope that both teams now, we've seen their map picks. We've seen how dominant they can be. They've seen the questions that they both have answers to. And let's see if split being the decider, if there's going to be anything that one team maybe has that the other ones weren't prepared for as we get in to your final pistol round.
Skyflash goes out. Of course, Astra now is stunned. But look at this utility from the front side here. Nobody from the side of me again can get through without a single call from Rewind. But again, big fight in mid to note as well between the Sage and Raze. That really will be a very much clear indication to me. The game want to try and get through onto B in almost instantaneous fashion. Realistically, though, again, you want to try and flash forward. You want to try and surge. You want to keep things alive. But realistically as well, you want to respect the presence and respect the potential counter push from Oblivion XC.
No, you really do, and you want to be taking down these Astra Stars. Every smoke that she uses one less. Speaking of, what is this push from MJT? He is quite aware, and oh my days, Zoic is not ready for that. I don't think anyone would be. MJT immediately with that aggressive picking something up. Henny being smoked off, though, isn't able to kind of work off that slow Demon. Absolutely swinging that breach flash and picks up Profit because of it. More actually finding one as well, but Rewind and the Sage protecting the President. Rewind is as Henny heals him up enough to steal a 3k away and start off the penultimate pistol round quite decisively to Oblivion.
Yeah, and it's very convincing now to Oblivion, especially after that round there. It was off the initiation from MJT. The shorty pinch from the back does keep things in relative check, but we are going to be having a small tech pause for the second here, just waiting for the coach to reconnect there on the side of Meow Gaming. You do have to really highlight, though, again, first off, very interesting, because the way that round really unfolded, though, you did feel like there was sort of pinched in from all angles here, Meow Gaming.
Seems like, no, yeah, Meow, I mean, definitely, they had something going for them, but Oblivion and MJT, they've let him off the leash, and he is running wild. He does not mind dashing down. Who expects this Viper to be there? And more importantly, who gets it right that Viper is there? Absolutely picks off Zoic and then steamrolls his way through and allows Oblivion to really come out of nowhere and suddenly maybe put themselves on track for this victory.
I think the real course of victory here from both sides is going to be so different. For Oblivion XC, again, they need to utilize at least one form of the Astra pairing here alongside the Cypher here. Whizzing and Rewind need to come huge here and just keeps that isolated so that MJT and Profit can come into the picture. Whereas Meow Gaming, you're relying so much here on Cataclysm, Zoic and Doxy just alone to try and coordinate pushes, because again, the combination of the two controllers and the initiator, it just causes problems for the duelists on the side of Oblivion. They can't see and they can't push as as frequently as they'd like to.
No, yeah, exactly, and it's a good point as well mentioning, because we do see, like, from the side of Meow, they do have, you mentioned Doxy, Zoic and Cataclysm and how they work off of each other. Moore's Raisonade, the Raisonade, not usually, I mean, you can definitely get some kills with it if you sneak it in between a push, absolutely, don't get me wrong, but it makes it a lot easier if you do combine it with the Astra Pull, with the Concuss, with any sort of, that two combo utility usage is going to be so key in helping Meow really push on the site, get that initial execute, probably not even off of a gunfight, get that initial frag purely off of util, and then hopefully steamroll from there.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult, though, to tell, especially if both teams in this early on. But you do gather ideas earlier, particularly as well of MJT. I mean, listen, this person likes to cause awkward timings and sort of, push on the camera at really difficult times for Meow Gaming, even to time the hard aim. It's just going to be one of those ones where really you're relying so much on so many different people at different times. That is the value in this sort of level of Valorant.
No, that is, and the value, as we said, not a single person here has not done something absolutely exceptional. There is a slight more of a delay while we wait everything to get loaded back in, but ladies and gentlemen, I think I can definitely live up when I say it will be worth the wait. That first round already set us off on a path for an explosive, and I do say that knowing there's at least 3 different exploding characters in the rosters on that map, ready to absolutely go, so please bear with us while we get that sorted. But is there anything, Connie, you're, I guess, expecting or hoping for in terms of maybe an execute? Run me through a hypothetical.
I mean, realistically speaking, you want to try and mirror that B again if you're on the attacking side. At least try and send 2 to mid, maybe, because again, you're dealing with pressure as well from the ropes in the back. You're dealing pressure as well from stairs to heaven. It needs to be, you know, first off, clear entry there. There's something to do with pressure from the front of garage. But on the defensive structure as well, you do have to respect both sides and send equal amounts of players there and just hope that the players on either side can rotate efficiently enough whilst catching lurking players off guard to a point where, you know, ideally you're creating a dream sort of scenario.
No, I think that covers a lot of it. That ideal, just that split and then that rotate to cover whoever gets that initial frag is going to be so vitally important. And speaking of initial frags and speaking of rotates, they've split up basically exactly how you'd expect them to, and that opening frag probably will be coming up in a matter of seconds, as that Sage Wall's absolutely going to get torn down and then release more onto it, as Henny and himself both are ready to meet each other, shotguns in tow.
Look at this right here. It's a great jump, but Prophet and Rewind find 2 clear to make sure it's a 5v3 situation now. Oblivion in firm control of the round thus far. But look at the players here just statured around the broken wall. Henny needs to try and play huge if he wants to get these clears in. And the judge just to boots it alongside MJT's connection there of the headshot. VAD classic. And now a flawless round there for Oblivion after the attack pause is just simply to be restarting where they left off, you know.
No, absolutely. I mean, that was sharp. That was maybe a 30-second round. We've seen the attempt from Moore to kind of push through the vent, immediately shut down by Prophet. Then Henny not getting overzealous, still, once again, that patience. No one here has pushed and made a mistake that has resulted of an overconfident or an over-aggressive push or an impatient push. And speaking of an impatient or overconfident push, this might be one.
Oh, shot goes down, but MGT spots 2 players there in line. Demon 2 now to be the one to return fire here. At least, though, you have got the Sage and the Astra here to try and line things up here. The wall is still in play, but off of the re-grab of the Star. You want to try and play grab and push here for the side of Oblivion XC. Meow Gaming, though, huge move one here as well down the mid lane, especially with the Astra and the Raze there just toying around with ideas, and the Breach there stuck in the pocket. They want to try and collapse for potentially a wrap or a reroute, but that's only if they can alleviate pressure here from the front of garage.
No, exactly, and we mentioned before, Doxy absolutely finding MJT, though. What a very fortunate but nevertheless impressive shot, getting that first blood online for the sake of Meow. And there's something interesting here that Oblivion do have, which is that Cypher setup in A means every other character now that does have any sort of tripwire or anything, it's all ranged, even Killjoy now. Cypher can walk away to B, and if there's anyone on A, he will get notified regardless. So Oblivion do have that extra comfort knowing that they can slightly over-rotate and still have some information, whereas if they didn't have that Cypher, if that was a Killjoy or a Chamber, if you're feeling very, very interesting, then it means you don't have that guaranteed A-hold if there's an over-rotate.
But look at this right here already from Meow Gaming. They're starting to find entries clearly onto A. You're expecting at this point if you are whizzing and you're just getting away from danger. But realistically, Demon 2 can surge forward and keep things alive. Although we're down to 21 HP, Meow Gaming here have got a firm reinforcements from all 4 of the players. As we are seeing a 5v3 situation at hand here. They're starting to whittle away players now from the side of Oblivion.
As Common goes out into it, Moore again has been unleashed. Zoic finding Prof on that lurk and Moore swinging again on the Henny. That was an absolutely clinical push. We'd seen everything work out so well. We'd seen the appropriate amount of players watching Heaven, the appropriate players, and i.e. 1 from Moore, actually watching site, ready in case Wizzing tried to swing off of the flash that we did see come through from Prophet. And playing that anti-flash by not having everyone stare up at Heaven was super smart. If there was one player who was aiming the wrong location from the side of Meow there, that could have easily became 3-0 for Oblivion, which Meow certainly don't want going in to our first full buy and our second last first full buy of the entire series.
Oh, absolutely. And even after the bonus, we are seeing a real variety here of weaponry on the board. You do look towards the half buy though. I think Meow Gaming do want to at least save for a little bit longer, get some more weaponry at hand here, because realistically speaking, they have got advantage, but they don't really want to at least throw away what looks to be a full flush. With an XC that can only rotate off of contact, but the up doesn't connect, and Demon 2 has been rewarded for his kill. Not only does up falling now for the side of Oblivion XC, they need to try and at least kill the collapsing players from either side, as it is wrapped up 2-2 in the kill feed. Still, advantage is being favoured by Meow Gaming, and Wizzing can only hold so much here on a sliver of health, and a re-wrap coming in clearly from the Astra on Oblivion XC. You can't quite predict particularly the point of entry if you're on the side of Meow Gaming, but one thing is definitely it is a controlled round nonetheless.
That was, I mean, Rewind, unless once again, now you are someone that can definitely turn these in, that makes these dreams into reality. Does find Zoic, finds him, and now there's only one player really left. Demon 2 on such low HP, one bullet finds him. That's all Rewind needs to turn this into a 1v1. And once that happens, this push is going to come through. They are playing together so well, but that spike is going to be taken down. Rewind has something to do and does. Demon goes down. Doxy's not actually there to swing off of it. Oh no, my days. The bullets have gotten scrappy all of a sudden. That spike is starting to tick. It's getting really loud. And Rewind's ears has to do something. Swings, Doxy finds him, and that's going to be enough actually. Rewind has done 2 insane clutches in back-to-back maps.
And that's just a huge one as well that you do want to win. I think Rewind there played it to perfection. That instant tap there bought enough time for the reposition, because obviously if you're in the side of Meow Gaming, you understand that it's not going to be a real stick or maybe even a half stick. That is going to be the hardest call to make in your mind, but the swing from Oblivion was an outrageous one, and it did convert, as Rewind now is boasting 7-1 on the scoreboard. Not to note as well, it's going to be really difficult really to gauge all sorts of terms, but look at the economy here. You do favour Meow Gaming a little bit, James.
No, you absolutely do, and they've done exactly. I mean, you've just taught me that the half buy just to get kind of both rounds in. Now, to be honest, something that I'm starting to see the issue of, because that 25 HP, it does make quite a bit of difference. It does protect you from being one shot by the Phantom headshot. It does protect you from a lot of, it puts you on 1 HP actually if you get Phantom headshotted from the longest possible range at 50 meters. So there is a bit of a trade-off, but if it is keeping Meow an extra buy-in for this round, for this 5th round, then maybe it is going to be enough as these all start to come online.
Now, 5v4 situation. MJT finds the first, but so do Oblivion XC get more on the board. Now Meow Gaming forced to retreat down, but that NUEL theft really is going to halt a lot of pushes coming on in. That Sage, again, is just playing prone, especially Dormant, when you do want to play for the wall and play for the point of contact. Meow Gaming can only force entry through clears, but Moore finds a huge first kill. The NUEL theft does indicate positioning here from Meow Gaming, but Oblivion XC are at least trying to fight from all ends here.
Absolutely insane. Moore getting that pre-fire through, immediately putting Prophet down to like 10 HP. They do have that B site actually quite clear, but the Astra is lurking all the way in garage. That judge shot, yeah, definitely going to find Prophet. The pre-fire through the nade down mid is going to actually potentially get a bit of damage under the Whizzing, at least very much slow him down as the drop comes through. Rewind picks up Doxy. The Showstopper not going to find anything, and Whizzing instead finding the owner of it as the concussion goes down, and Cataclysm now has to do something incredible, but is only good for one as Oblivion XC put their 4th round on this leaderboard.
And it's so convincing as well. Those rounds broken down, James, were very integral, but you fought after the first kill onto the Sage there for the side of Meow Gaming, especially claiming Heaven so early that they would maybe get enough of a setup going to get the plant down, which they did. But where did it really sort of lackluster heading into this timeout?
I think it was lackluster just because there was so much, and the positioning from Oblivion has been really crucial. Like having Whizzing all the way down in that mid, forcing that raise nade to have to be committed to mid, not commonly going to find anything unless Whizzing's positioning's really out of key, which it absolutely wasn't. Having to commit that Showstopper, then to find nothing, it was such a Hail Mary, and it didn't get any, it didn't find much or really any value. So now Meow Gaming lose that Showstopper, one of the most pivotal ultimates, particularly to play off of something like the Cosmic Divide, the Astra Wall. A raised blast packs through, you can't shoot her until she's on the other end of that wall, and at that point there's a rocket launcher with a payload of enough damage to absolutely wipe you off the face of the earth before you can even hear it be used.
So now we do head into the 6th round of this contest. You have to really initiate yourselves if you're inside of Meow Gaming. Those 3 ults on the board there for the Jet Sky and Astra really are going to be huge, especially that Cosmic Divide on either side. But now really it's going to be a war of attrition. Can you get every bit of utility to be maximized to the fullest, even off of both points of contact? Oblivion XC going to opt for at least a staggered hit towards A here, keeping things reinforced, and the tripwires as well to boot do tend to section off a lot of the mid pressure that could be coming in. But I'll tell you what, right now, big round for both teams.
It's really scary as well going in. It's such a huge round, but every round here that Meow don't take on attack, they don't have a sentinel to lock down B site. Oblivion, you know, they want to be taking these rounds on defense because they have that cipher, because they have that slightly more consistent kind of lockdown with those tripwires. They aren't just relying off of the Viper wall or the Astra sucks to kind of keep B intact. So every round that Oblivion take on the defense that Meow do not get on attack, quite concerning for them as the Seekers now come through and the push begins.
Right now, Heady's lost positioning here from top rafters. Can't quite push as much as they'd like, and the shots don't connect. So now we're seeing it going to be pretty much man advantage on the side of Meow Gaming. Although more shots and more trades do ensue, the bomb needs to be planted in instantaneous fashion, and the first Cosmic Divide is going to be called in. Meow Gaming here sectioning off Heaven, keeping Oblivion XC out of the picture for the most part.
They do seem very happy. Oh, well, I was about to say, but MJT's been let off his leash. Of course, he's not happy to sit back and wait that wall out. He absolutely is going to push. The concuss coming through in the back right. The anti-flash of MJT actually not doing him enough. Has to absolutely get the clutch shots off after the knife is lost. But Zoic coming through the smoke like the fog monster from Lost and shutting down what could have been a very clutch moment from MJT. More though in bus stop. If Zoic wasn't able to do it, if MJT had done something absolutely monumental, it was likely Moore was just going to give him a cheeky tap in the back of the head just to remind him that this is not even close to over.
Absolutely, it's going to be such a difficult call. I think right now, Meow Gaming here getting around back on the board in that fashion. You are burning through your Cosmic Divide quickly, but realistically speaking, with the NXC, do have one still to boot in the remaining rounds. And the way they're playing it from mid as well, I mean, realistically, with NXC and Meow Gaming are fighting with fire here. As the rumor goes out, shots do rain in from both sides, but it's the conversion from Meow Gaming that really keeps this game in the picture as more sprays through the smoke. It really was a round where Oblivion XC were really trying to find some form of pressure in mid, some form of counter, hence why the wide swings came in all at the same time. But Meow Gaming had positioning, had the crosshairs placed on those points of entry, executed a wonderful firing squad.
That EU usage is just the shot of Moore panicking and 360ing in the smoke as he's absolutely caught on Prophet's face was... That's genuinely the most entertained I've been in quite some time in Valorant, just because the sheer confusion when you reach this tier of play and someone seems so evidently lost is just so fantastic, but this doesn't look lost at all.
Huge first blood there from Whizzing. Although more trades it out, it will initiate with XC to start getting more in the feed. And Meow Gaming here only are now going to be in a 2v4 situation. Despite it all, they do have Spike. It really is going to be a case of trying to pick it up here on the off angle. The breach will be your first point of contact if you're on the side of Moore. And despite it all, shots rain through. Moore is dragged into hell, and Oblivion XC retain their lead.
Prophet's flick onto Doxy there is absolutely a gorgeous display. That was really clean. Doxy trying to get that spray transfer over because he did think he had the time, but Prophet, when you're as fast as that, there is no time. There is either you get the one tap or you regret it and get one tapped, and Prophet absolutely opening that round up for Oblivion XC to just completely take it back, put themselves on a really strong economy going through with 3 ultimates as well versus Meow's slightly weaker economy and only 2 ults to boot instead of the 3.
The ops come online as well for Oblivion, as well as 3 ults. They've got a wide variety here to work with. But the way it is going to be off the point of contact, that Viper is going to separate for the most part every single player now on either side of the map. At this point now, if you're inside of Meow Gaming, do you push through and try an entry on? Do you try and risk the chance of losing your first life? Or if you're Oblivion XC, do you just maybe force clearance on the site early? Again, it really is a battle of pressure, as both teams will look for the contact. The cones are centered around this one lane here. It really needs to be an understatement between the two teams of how static and how slow do you want to force the other to make a mistake.
No, and there could be a mistake here, that we do already see Oblivion XC kind of reading that that the rotate's going to go on to B. The breach immediately coming through already now on that Heaven side instead of that A side. These splits have been so good. You've mentioned it yourself, Connie, just how important it would be to take this control, this 2 and 3 split, as we do see Meow Gaming actually take that mid control basically for free. MJT having the op, but gonna get caught out, has to take that shot. Now they have that info that Garage has already lost. The Sky Flash is coming through, and now this push on defense, and this basically full A side control from Meow Gaming.
Oh, but look at it right now. Meow Gaming here want to entry early. If you're a see, you can't lose any lives, but the first kill Whizzing finds the Demon 2 is going to be a big one. As more though gets on and the Spike is starting to really aggress forward onto A. Oblivion XC now can only funnel in through one choke point. As Elbow gets cornered off, it's going to be a 2v2, make it a 2v1 as time trickles on down. Oblivion XC convert around there as Zoic is nowhere near the site plant.
Trying to get that pick on the Henny at the very least for a consolation pick, does not find it. And we have seen this actually, the clock's been running down, or very close to being running down a fair few times in this series. Both teams very happy to kind of wait until that last minute, but I think both teams now have suffered for it, because in the Ascent match game 1, we've seen the Sova, the Hunter's Fury, come through, disrupt a plant when there were 6 seconds left, immediately stopping that, and now we've seen Meow trying to get that plant, but Rewind and Henny absolutely shutting it down as now the ults come through. The econ not fantastic from Meow, and they have to make this work.
Look at these players stack through mid here. Again, it's a really huge play call from Meow Gaming to at least get this pressure up early. So with NXC just reinforcing sites and just regaining lanes of control with Meow Gaming have sacrificed off the rip. As the pawns do move on the chessboard, with NXC really have got control here. As now Meow Gaming starts to progress forward onto a site. More just playing very careful here. Does know that that star can completely halter any push or any chance of a pinch. And at this point, if you are the IGL, that call needs to come in here. It's going to be a clear fight. And Whizzing will get the first point of contact here from the camera.
That's really scary for them. They don't know they're kind of walking into a blender here in terms of Meow. Absolutely going to have to make something crucial work here. The tripwires are coming through. The lurk from Whizzing in that cage. The updraft coming through, actually. Demon finds one, finds two with gorgeous knives. More with the showstopper as well. Doesn't look like it's going to be needed. As Cataclysm gets that plant down. Never mind, More with an absolutely beautiful Hail Mary rocket to the back wall. Takes the Astra out. Rewind. Wishes he could rewind that moment. The Viper's pit going down, and it's Meow. Demon, what a knife! What the hell?
Now at this point, if you're MJT, you just got to save. You can't retake this round particularly. Give it to Meow Gaming, put it to bed, and try and really think ahead here. Call the French timeout and just get some plans on the board for the next. As we are seeing a beautiful entry there from the side of Meow. 2 clear kills with the knives, and then after that, it was just ultimates bombarded heaven. And Meow Gaming now make it 6-4.
I mean, if you want to be Oblivion, I guess the silver lining you take is 3 ultimates used, Viper Pit included, and a pick onto Doxy for MJT's trouble. But no, Demon, they had that planned. All Doxy was the bait, so Demon could come in, pick up that 4th kill, steal the op away from them as well. Doesn't actually go for it either, leaves it on the floor. Not sure if a mistake or just doesn't need it, but that is made Meow Gaming in one pretty fast 5-10 second moment, all of a sudden a lot closer to bringing this up 6-6 than it was.
And it's beautiful. I do think the Oblivion XC are going to go into this round with a little bit more firepower. Despite the economy being an eco, they have got the Cosmic Divide and the knives to work with, so MJT can just get some business out of the way early. Although the flash will call onto the breach, it's still very static here and very smart from Meow Gaming. Whizzing, holding the Sheriff.
MJT really has to do with what Demon could with those knives. Speaking of Demon, immediately puts himself in that kill feed. More immediately taking that Heaven control, unaware that there is no one Heaven, and now MJT and co all having to push up this vent. More is here, but MJT with those knives, some fancy footwork off of that rope, absolutely takes the pick down, as it's now 4 versus 4 with the Cosmic Divide for the side of Meow Gaming again, and the Seekers very happy to use those ultimates to try and keep this site.
Look at this right now. It's going to be such a very hard Cosmic Divide to enter from because Heaven is out of the picture. And Meow Gaming can just capitalize on what looked to be a complete sheer collapse from Oblivion. All players there funneling through entry points. And Meow Gaming having the stature, having the poison vigilance to get the crosshair placed on their head. And now we are heading into the last round of the half. Oblivion exceeding up by 1. But still Meow Gaming here having a very impressive attack round to boot.
Oh, very much so, and MJT able to get that op quite back, but we have seen him. Fair play to Meow Gaming. They are coming into this last round though with 0 ultimates, and very unlikely that a single one's gonna be able to be accessible. Doxy needs to get both orbs and a 3k if he wants that Cosmic Divide back up, which while possible, I doubt that's Meow Gaming's strat, as Prophet links all the way up on top of ramp, getting ready for this push which we know is coming.
It's a huge first blood there from Prophet. More out of the picture, and off that contact, a flash will go through. You can't really initiate if you're on the side of Meow Gaming because Prophet is being such a nuisance. And despite everything going on, it's just going to be sprays, as Demon 2 is too scared to aggress forward beyond the Astral Cloud. But at the same time, Oblivion XC have numbers. They're just playing with their food right now, as Wizen gets another, and Meow Gaming here are whipped away.
Per Demon, that's probably the most unsure we've seen any player in this server look over the course of these last 3 games. He just wasn't sure if he wanted that push through, if he wanted to kind of reconvene, and he got completely caught by Wizik as well because of it, which is an absolutely gorgeous shot. And now Prophet already has one, tries to get the wallbang through onto Cataclysm, isn't overconfident in the swing though, and doesn't actually know how good that is. That Doxy is waiting for him, but the dog goes through. Doxy refrags the dog, which I think is such an underrated strategy. Rewind picking up the counter Astra though for the side of Rewind, as it looks like Oblivion are going to be taking the 7-5.
Oh, whizzing there, countered off of the tripwire destruction, but Cataclysm had the reads flicked onto the head. Now it's going to be a 4v2 retake for the side of Oblivion, as Meow Gaming here in neutral position off of only so much intel. Oblivion, though, again, with numbers advantage and the Cosmic Divide, you will unlikely see it called in this round because simply the power is there.
Which is quite interesting to think that it actually may put them at a disadvantage, but never mind. Zombs are good for 2. The flash comes through, isn't going to find Henny. Swings through though, is ready for Rewind on the elbow swing, but Rewind just lands those shots a little bit crucially. And if they hadn't, Meow could have absolutely been in their way to a 6-6. And as you pointed out, Connie, it's super interesting to think that, yeah, the Astro Wall may be the only ultimate in the game that on last round you might not want to use it because you might give your opposition more of a benefit than you have.
And at this point now, you have to know the spike location, you have to corner it to a point where if it is used, you're giving a free pocket of space for the defenders, and it's just going to be such a hard time to deal with because of that audio nerf as well. But now we're heading into the next half. Oblivion XC are going to be on the attacking side, and at a 7-5 lead after the first half. Realistically, they've only got a small margin of lead here, but still very much an even game.
Very much so, and now I did accidentally misinform the audience when I said we were going into the final pistol round, but unless there is something crazy happening now, I feel very confident saying that we are now entering into what is the final pistol round of this entire series. Oblivion XC up by 2. Slight advantage, as you'd mentioned, Connie, coming through as these jump peaks, just witnessing to see if there's any contact, and Zoic makes it as the contact starts.
First one comes in, MGT, wiping away Zoic from the board, and the first blood is drawn. Because now you do expect an extensive push here to come in from the side of Oblivion. Now as the second kill is found, they will take Heaven in full control and swing forward onto the B site. It will be down to one player there, and Oxy on the Astra to try and hold the forces away. Only a store in hand, but still play around the smoke with minimal intel given to the side of Oblivion. You really have to hope that timing's on your side, as everyone's swarming you like bait to sharks. They're running forward and surging in as Meow Gaming just simply can't respond to the numbers.
Oh, for a Cataclysm flashes himself as well, not going to make his life any easier. Able to pick up 1, but it's likely going to be a consolation prize if anything else. The concuss goes through, does tag onto Cataclysm. Somehow he has to swing into 4 people already, holding these angles. Prophet ready on that counter swing if there's any kind of flash coming through, which we know Cataclysm doesn't even have, as he's about to make contact now. He makes it with Henny and Prophet. That is his cue to swing out, drop Cataclysm down, and take the pistol round for Oblivion XC.
Oh, and it's just going to be such a convincing time, especially if you're inside of Oblivion, because that pistol round is going to be huge. Now starting to the bias come in here, James. Very much an interesting side for both.
I mean, yeah, MJT did so well on that shorty, he's decided to just go with a shorty with a bigger clip. So, you know what, fair play to him. He's definitely made it work before. We're seeing a lot more heavy shields now rather than the very fancy half shield strategy. Bucky and light shield coming through though from the side of Meow, from the, I think that's from the Jet, that's from Meow Gaming, so he's really planning to play off the knives if the picks don't come through, as the rest of the squad basically ready just to play pistols and nothing else, as this B push now comes into fruition.
And look at this right now, site's been completely taken by Oblivion XC. MJT with the judge is looking to at least catch players on the off angle here. Wall-to-wall gunfights is what MJT wants, but off the Marshall, you're trying to initiate early. You're hoping that stuff lines up for you, but 2 clear is great if you're on the side of Oblivion. NUEL Gaming, they just simply can't respond to that sort of pressure. It just eliminates all the forces alongside the Sage Wall. Heaven's your only real entry point.
I know, and the Wizzing's keeping that so in control, but more picking up that judge that was so graciously gifted to him. And who knows, that might be the start. If this corner's cleared, oh, the flash, not quite though. Cataclysm unfortunately getting caught out by it, but now they know Prophet's there, but more doesn't matter as Rewind actually swings through. Prophet with the dink, Rewind with the finish. The judge picked back up, shot the corpse for a little bit of friendly toxicity, will we say, as Oblivion XC running away now 2 rounds back to back for this half.
Realistically speaking, Oblivion XC are only 4 rounds away from taking this series and becoming your NUEL Beacon champions. But realistically, at the same time, on the other side of the card, NUEL Gaming here only have to respond, and their composition of weaponry is looking very muddy to do so.
I think it all comes down to how JMT and Demon meet right here. The flash comes through, JMT has to dash out, Demon takes the first shot. Neither of them find each other though, which I think is actually quite a relief for both players. At least both are on the board and still alive. JMT, we've seen both these Jets do some disgusting things with these knives. It comes down to JMT to do it once more as more sits just in that Astral Star waiting for any contact with that judge.
Still players alive here with 75 on the board. It's going to be a mid-lurk for the most part, as everyone from Oblivion XC is looking for a kill, and that entry onto more is going to be huge. But with MJT out the picture, you got to slow down the forces a little bit here and try and find some clear-cut kills onto Heaven. Then after that, the entry onto the site is going to come through. Doxy, though, is going to be there ready to go. The spike's going to drop, and that's going to be absolutely huge now for the side of NUEL Gaming, as not only have they got weaponry advantage, especially heading into this bonus round, Oblivion XC are starting to fall by the wayside as NUEL Gaming make it only a 9-6, but a very convincing round nonetheless.
Very much so. Oblivion don't even get the chance on that flank. That flank from Wizzing so good actually to be able to walk through so much of B, but immediately being spotted out by Doxy, by Zoic, and absolutely taken out of the equation. We do see basic full buys now from both teams here. More still on that judge, which after how that swing from Prophet went, not really feeling it, but who knows, maybe he'll shut me up. And I would very much appreciate if he did, because we do love some, well, I'm not sure if we do actually, but we definitely see some disgusting judge clear outs from it, and whether you like it or love it, it's in the game, and it's a strategy that a lot of players opt for as this round 16 goes underway.
Okay, it's very much a passive push here from both sides, but with the Viper Cloud being in picture, it's completely shutting down Oblivion XC, and it will get replaced, of course, with the Astral Cloud. So this mid-contest here between these two teams will just be the picture. It will be the prize. It will be what Oblivion XC wants to try and utilize as they aggress forward and try and find a site. But the way B is going, again, it's really hard for NUEL Gaming to actually gauge a read. They want to commit players towards either. The tripwire is going to be anything on A, really, that will indicate the presence from NUEL Gaming on the site. However, B is very much going to be your course of action if you want to try and take this round.
And they absolutely are. The Astral Stars coming through. Everyone ready. Cataclysm and Zoxy ready through it. The dash is going to come through. MJT perfectly into it. The flash comes through. Doesn't tag anyone. It does going to tag that though. But the turn is so good. Able to pick up Zoic. Cataclysm though immediately there with the refrag as 3 players now converge on. Cataclysm good for another. That's good for the Seekers as well. This is going to be pivotal. They know Rewind's in the corner. The Seeker does hit. He is trapped, but no one can swing. More finds him anyway, even after it wears off Demon. And more for one more as NUEL Gaming bring themselves up 9-7. You said it was 9-6 before, but this is maybe the start of something, Connie.
Yeah, the economy's looking pretty strong now if you're inside of Oblivion. NUEL Gaming here, only we've got one last hope here, one last attempt. I mean, listen, you're going to be running quite a weird split here. Doxy and Cataclysm, I mean, for the most part, the op has come online. You're seeing a mixture of full and light shields, but ultimately, what's interesting to me is Oblivion XC, they're just going to eco straight out the rip here.
They're very confident too. I mean, once again, we see, like, Doxy, for example, there's only one player with light shields, but that means if you're running into 5 sheriffs all primed and ready to aim for the head, there is one bullet that could meet Doxy's dome, and that will immediately take your pivotal controller on split out of this map before the rounds even started as the stuns get ready. MJT, we've seen it so many times, this dash, this jump into shotgun, into first blood. Will it happen again? Or is this going to be a much slower? The stun looks to be getting ready. Here we go.
MJT runs first. Bucky's shot is going to come through now as he replaces it with the Phantom. Meow Gaming are going to have to respond to 4 players. I mean, the Vibe Pool is going to go up, but at the same time as the Astral Cloud, it's going to allow Cataclysm to regress forward here and get a position in the corner, which hopefully you would invite with an XC to push. But realistically, timing is not the side, because look at this here. It's an interesting play call, but one that would work. Scythe has control of mid, so they're allowing the push here to come on in for a re-wrap to B. But only really time can favour you for so long, as Meow Gaming will eventually be alerted of this. The point of contact here is going to be very clear. Heaven's going to be occupied by the side of Oblivion XC.
Zoic once again, he's been stoic so long before. Zoic is going to have to be stoic. The Viper Orb comes through, the Molly comes through to buy some time. That is going to be Meow Gaming basically being told that it is an A push. Actually though, Cataclysm not being swayed, staying there waiting for the Astral Demon, immediately picking up Prophet and Garage, and they are now hearing it. Cataclysm though not ready! Oh my god, it's heartbreaking form. Rewind absolutely finding that time in his 13 seconds. It is going to take down. Henny is going to be able to get it, and Whizzing with the lurk, able to pick up an op with it in place of a Sheriff, but Zoic though on this site picks up 1, picks up 2. Rewind has to clear him out, and now all of a sudden it's Doxy trapped in between 2 players, one with an op, one with another gun entirely. How did this happen?
At this point, Nate will play your life as it does enter Astral form. Look at this here from Whizzing, already up high with the Cypher. Needs to be clear, needs to work. Doxy can't run away for too long, but finally gets it in the end. It was almost a panic from both players. Doxy there was only spraying what was in front, and it converted to a kill now as Meow Gaming make it 9-8. And not only are they going to be looking comfortable in this round, the op's still online. The economy's bolstered, and even better, James, look at what they have to work with.
Oh my day, my heart sank for Meow there. My heart absolutely had no clue how to handle that. You are right, the economy looking pretty bolstered. The op still alive for Demon. But Oblivion, though, you gotta remember, that was all Sheriffs and Light Shield. And they were able to get Plant and 4 kills on the board. Meow Gaming, at the very least, still able to take that round, but I'm really thinking they're kicking themselves. They've got to try and not let that get to them. How close that round well and truly was, and maybe how close it well and truly should not have been.
Okay, the Cloud will come off the line, but look at Demon 2 finds first onto Prophet. Now with 85 on the board, it's going to be a push for Oblivion XC through mid, but look at the way Meow Gaming have to adjust to this. It's going to be clear to me they want to try and angle it off and get Heaven fenced in, hence the aggression so early, but Henny and MJT deal with all sorts of frontline force Meow Gaming want to employ. Only a player ahead in terms of life count. Oblivion XC are currently thriving for the most part, but still, you have to report back to the sky here. It's going to be a huge one here between Cataclysm and the forces of Oblivion.
They don't clear him. They don't clear him. He's good for 1. He's good for 2. Whizzing's at the very least able to get that pick and get the Cypher all out. But it's now 2 versus 2. Little bit of information going in the way of Oblivion XC. But now it's both Cosmic Divides down and ready to go. Rewind and Co having this site control. Whizzing has been doing so much. He has to do a little bit more though. And if this wins, if Oblivion XC take this, it's 10-8. If Meow, it's all tied up. That Cosmic Divide does go down. How is this going to go as the spike takes down?
It's a great Cosmic Divide. It's a fantastic Cosmic Divide, and also as well the Clouds and the Orbs onto A will completely fence in elbow. Whizzing has to counter with so much force and pressure, but the kill onto Doxy there might just be it. As Mornow has got the satchels, it's going to be a huge run, and it's going to be an impressive shot from Whizzing to clear it. 3 that round for him, as now 10-8 for Oblivion XC to get a round back on the board, and they're starting to really find a footing again, because the way Meow Gaming looked for the last 3, it was lights out.
No, it definitely was. They're able to finally at least find the light switch, maybe flick it back on. The bulb is still flickering though. It is clinging on for life. The boys from the side of Meow were really starting to look dangerous there, to really start to look like they were taking Oblivion out, but they did have to use a fair few ults. The Astral Wall, the Cosmic Divide down, the Cypher ults down, the Jet ready to come back online, but that's not too much. But Meow have 4 ults. The only thing they're missing is the Seekers, and we have seen them do some deadly things with this ult. Speaking of deadly things, Demon not able to land the shot as this push starts well and truly on.
MJT finds one with the Judge, but still plenty of time here for Meow Gaming to adjust, even with the ults available. Oblivion XC still have to work around at least clearing a site, so that kill in mid can only be so effective for a period of time. As now though, it looks to me that Oblivion XC Committing towards Garage here will first encounter the real forces of Meow Gaming, but MJT with his third that round on for the ace is cleaning house, cleaning everything in sight, as now it's going to be a big battle in the air. The aerial duel's just about being won by MJT. The spike needs to be plotted now. Only one player left. It's going to be the ace, and it's going to be the MJT finishing off Meow Gaming in convincing fashion.
MJT with the ACE. Absolutely beautiful stuff from him. Absolutely incredible plays. That man in one round with a judge in hand shut down a Viper's pit. Absolutely swung like it was nobody's business into every gunfight so confidently with the Sage, with Henny right behind him ready to take him down. He was not being meant to get a demon from that range with a judge, but when your teammate right behind you puts him down 140, yeah, Judge can deal 10 damage from that range. An absolutely beautiful ace from JMT, but not to overshadow exactly how much the side of Oblivion XC handed it to him with their assists.
I feel like there's one more question to ask you there, James. I think Oblivion XC really have shown strengths, especially of MJT, but even better than that, it's just a combination of factors. I really think the utilities from either Astra on either side has been so convincingly good.
I mean, I've played Astra once, and it was because someone locked my Sky, and I got absolutely shredded. It was a very sobering moment in how good Astra can be if you've got someone in the right hands. And Doxy and Rewind, despite the fact Rewind slightly edging them out in kills and assists, Doxy and Rewind have both put on very exceptional Astra plays, at least from the ignorant man that I am.
But this round is going to be really one that you want to keep your eye on. Oblivion X only 2 away now from converting it. Meow Gaming looking to respond fast. It has to come down to the 1 minute 40-second timer that separates these teams from the round conversion. Loudmore, though, has to use it just up early because the detain isn't coming in full effect, but so will the Rolling Thunder. Mollies will collapse onto the Garage, and it'll be the first trade of the game now, 44 for either side, but full control of the site will go on to Oblivion. That Sage will only add to the dismay for the side of Meow Gaming. MJT's adding to the kill feed, but so are Oblivion XC. They're going to revive a player. They're going to keep things alive.
They really are, and this Sky Flash hasn't come through. Doxy, though, with the timing on the MJT. MJT is going to be heartbroken for that, but the reses came through. They still have 4 more people to kill. They still have not as they still don't have the gun disadvantage of the stars, though. These are really good. Prophet's been concussed. The drops came through from the Raze. He does have the shotgun, is trying to get ready to flash. That flash is going to come through from the side of the Sky. Immediately coming back out from the breach, he gets stunned, though. This is absolutely a collapse. Whizzing, though, absolutely coming in clutch from heaven, bailing out Oblivion in what could have been a very catastrophic push from Meow.
And now on match point, things are looking very tough here for Meow. They need to convert this one, but they're only on a 4 spy. Oblivion XC are working with everything. They're working with 4 Phantoms. They have the positioning at hand. They have the orbs at hand. It's going to be a real tough order here for Meow Gaming to come back. But in these moments, you do dig deep. You do look for that one last ray of sunshine. The hope needs to be there. The dream needs to be alive as we head into potentially our final round of this best of 3.
Everyone show your support. Meow, at the very least, having the Seekers in their own cosmic divide, but genuinely they are going to need everything in their favor, and that is not a way you want to start. Rewind with an absolutely pivotal first blood, and Meow Gaming may have already had this hope of taking this series slip away in that very first 10 seconds of this round.
Look at them work, though, James. They're going straight for a wrap already. It's a bold call.
That's right, though. It's a correct call. Are they able to do it fast enough as they just slowly walk through? Meow do seem to be on that kind of ready for this A push. MJT, that dash, we've seen it's happened so much. The stun coming through, having to actually back up so he doesn't get stunned himself, and more ready to do something with this judge.
Because right here again, the fights will take place here in Meow Gaming. Do find their surgence of 3 players. This is a wonderful injection of adrenaline into the bloodstream of Meow Gaming, as Oblivion XC can't respond in time. It's down to Rewind to respond fast, not just a satchel, but to a grenade. Will not get concussed, but will find players' heads, as now Doxy does get a round back in the books. Still 12-9, but it's a good response from Meow Gaming, and also a great re-clear of the site.
No, that was beautiful. That was an absolutely explosive shutdown from Meow Gaming. 3 people running down that Amy and getting absolutely gunned down by Meow. Not committing too much more afterwards either. They didn't have to use either of their 2 remaining ults. They didn't have to blow Seekers on that. They didn't have to blow the Astro Wall. The Econ, though, still looking really good from Oblivion XC and co. Everyone in those heavy shields, everyone in that full buy, everyone with every ability left. MJT only 1 orb away or 1 kill away from being able to pull out those knives, and MJT has been a carving butcher with those knives.
Oh my goodness me, he is carving through the likes of Meow Gaming, but Wizard know the first blood really does open the forces. The floodlights are on. The stadium is filled. Oblivion XC are now only a smidge away from claiming this one. As Util gets thrown on either side, it will be a resurgence to heaven here. As Oblivion XC do get towards B, do fence off any sort of counter push, but MJT does fall to the hands of Zoic. Profit, though, trades out in tandem, and now with only 65 seconds remaining in this round, Meow Gaming need to find their way onto site, but with the numbers dwindling away, you do think that this isn't impossible, but it might just be the final blow. The knockout punch, as Zoic in the 1v3 can only get through so much. Hiding in the cloud with the shorty, will swing, and will fall, as we're going to be seeing Oblivion XC convert this best of 3 and win the NUEL Beacon Minor.
Well played to them, just slightly too much of a tall ask. Both teams playing phenomenally at parts though, no disrespect, absolutely down to the wire. I mean, what was that, 13-9, so the most demanding victory was 13-8 on Fracture. Both teams really taking each other to the limits, and what a series we have just witnessed, and congratulations to Oblivion. Well damn deserved.
You feel like Oblivion now were in control at times. I think their only real bad spell was on the Fracture, but still they came back, still they showed fighting spirit. But that split was theirs to have, as now we do crown ourselves champions, and wow, what a special game it was, James. So many impactful moments, so many high-level plays. It was going to be down to the wire, and certainly it was in this day, in this instance.
No, it really wasn't. Everyone played out of their minds. The amount of just pivotal moments. I'm so sorry for Demon getting immediately wiped out by Rewind. Rewind really, for someone on a controller, usually quite a, you know, hang back, just get your smokes in, get those assists, rack everything up. Rewind was out for blood a lot. And genuinely, when you're against someone of that caliber who plays a supporting role that aggressively, that consistently, that's something that you really struggle to break through.
Yeah, absolutely. I just kind of have to elaborate again on the impact this will have, because Oblivion XC are going to walk home with their lion's share of the points today, and even better than that, some further prizes to boot. It just needs to be a case now of how they did it and what really was their shining factor, their star player.
I don't know who their star. Everyone was so good. I can't pick. I want to say maybe more, but do you have one, Connie? I can't do it, man.
I think MGT might be the one. MGT has to be that person, really. That was a factor. I really think, though, a lot of plays and a lot of rounds were decided ultimately by his first blood, his initiation. It is beautiful to watch.
It was, and I said more as star player just because he came to what, even if it was from the loser's side, I do genuinely think he's just on that scoreboard so consistently. I do think you're right, though. I think MJT was just that scary, and I do want to shout out Henny, though. Henny always seemed to be right behind him, even though he was like middle of the scoreboard. Any gunfight that was taken, Henny was behind the person cheering them on, granted with an extra hail of bullets, but you know, that's exactly what we have, and look at that there.
Of course, we're going to be seeing Rewind, Henny, Whizzing Prophet, and MJT walk away as your NUEL Beacon EWI Minor champions. And my goodness, it was a very enthralling series. Complete elation for the side of Oblivion XC, but still commiserations to Meow Gaming. Hats off for getting this far in that dominant winners bracket run, even taking it to the wire in the map 3. It was simply Oblivion XC that walk away today as your champions.
I mean, that was Oblivion XC. That was all the way. That was their run from losers. Meow were able to, quite sincerely, I think they only reached 1 overtime on their way here. And it showed, it definitely showed their consistency, their level of confidence. But Oblivion just, we love Cinderella stories. We love bracket runs, lower bracket runs, and Oblivion have completed an absolutely beautiful one.
It's going to be very interesting, but overall, they'll be back with an interview with one of the players from our winners after this very quick short break. Don't go anywhere for our final segments. See you later. Welcome back, everyone, for the post-show. Again, you did witness Oblivion XC there take it to the wire, but in a convincing 2-1 fashion, they win the NUEL Beacon Minor. And joining us on the desk today here is going to be Profit from Oblivion XC. I mean, first off, man, congratulations on the emphatic win.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It was a hard day to play, but we got there in the end.
Absolutely popped off.
So my first question to you is going to be this one here, Profit. I want to ask you first off the feelings post-match, and even better than that, your overall run throughout the bracket, because you beat some tough contenders.
Yeah, I was actually standing in today for the boys, so props to them for playing as well as they did, even with a stand-in. So Mitch Wizzing had some unbelievable games today, but yeah, it was some hard games. I think we went overtime against next in line. I think 13-11 game before that. So it was a lot of close games. It was a close day in general, but game by game, and now it's nearly 10 o'clock, so I'm ready for food and bed, to be honest with you.
Man's exhausted from
I'm
it.
so tired.
There's one thing, and to be fair, going into those games, definitely when there was high tight as that, they were really close. The most decisive victory being a 13-8, which is still kind of a close game. There was one thing I wanted to ask as well, which was, and you've mentioned you were standing, which is even more interesting for the question, which was you were someone that I was kind of noticing, and I by no means mean this as disrespect, but you were someone that was kind of lower in the scoreboard usually. But I noticed you had a crap ton of the assists, and I've always wondered, whenever you kind of do that and you do it so consistently, like your flashes were incredible, don't get me wrong, but how do you kind of keep that mental going if you're not the one on that scoreboard primarily?
I don't really care, to be honest with you. It's not like, so when they asked me to sub, I said I play flashes and it was fine, but I know like my job as a flashes player is to get my duelist to be as impactful as he can. So when Mitch comes out of a game and he's got like 10 first bloods, 9 first bloods or every game, it's something's gone right. But my job isn't necessarily to kill. It's a bonus if I can, but we don't talk about bottom frag Billy over here.
No, I respect that hustle. Some people just do get that tunnel vision though, but I respect someone that very much knows that as long as they've got the assists and as long as they've got the selves, they've done their job. And to that, you did do that splendidly.
Yeah, all of my mates know me as sitting at the bottom of the scoreboard pretty consistently. So I do what everyone else can't do, and I'll let them go kill everyone. I'll let them have the fun.
Nah, you're the hype man. You do it so well.
I'm screaming way too much today, so I'm definitely ready for bed.
That's a great lead as well into my next question, to be fair. So when it comes to the series today as well, this best of 3 against Meow Gaming, I wanted to ask you personally how you're feeling in the call and the challenges you faced ahead, because again, it was not a walk in the park.
No, so I think we had a fairly good grasp on how each map was being played out as it was happening. I mean, the first map we saw a Viper come into play, and those guys have practiced a Viper before, so they kind of like led me through what they'd expected, and we kind of dealt with that as we went through. Found a lot of openings and weaknesses, which was fine. But the second map we struggled a little bit. It was a bit of a bougie comp. That Sky, Reyna, Phoenix, Harbor, Viper was a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, we're saying that on the broadcast as well. It was not meta. It was very off topic.
Super strange, particularly as well. You've got 2 walls for flashes to suddenly pop out of. I mean, the fact you just turned any of those flashes was insane.
Yeah, no. So the comp was really weird. It was really aggressive, and we kind of knew like halfway through the game how we'd get around it and start playing into it. So we started making a gradual comeback, but I think at that point it was maybe a little bit too late. We kind of let it slip. But we did get a good read on them then. But I think Mental was going strong because going into third map, we'd picked up on how they were playing the second one. We had a game plan going into map 3 because we'd already played it earlier today, and it was, we played it a lot today, so everyone was just kind of like going through the emotions eventually. Yeah, it was pretty good. It was definitely a tough tier 3 to get into there.
100%. And finally, kind of the last question I want to ask then is just, obviously without giving the game away, obviously without telling any future competitors, what would you say if you've taken away from this? Because if you said you did have to go through a lot of maps already, you were, already kind of exhausted, and as well then going against some really crazy comps on Fracture particularly, if you could sum it up pretty quickly, what would kind of be your takeaway from this, particularly as a stand-in as well?
My takeaway. I don't have the minerals
Chinese,
for this anymore.
Indian?
Oh mate, no. Yeah.
So you tell me your takeaway now.
Actually, it's not a bad shout. I think a Mackey's is in order after today's.
Yeah, celebrate. You know what? Well deserved.
No, it's I think takeaway. I think take every game as it comes, because you don't really know what you're running into. Especially with those guys play really well. I mean, they have some really off comps, but they play really well. And just kind of keep your head up the whole way. So never look back, I guess.
Very inspirational. Love it.
Well, thank you very much there, Prophet, as we will conclude our interview. A huge shout out against Prophet and a round of applause indefinitely because, again, you've won the series, you've won the Beacon Minor. That's points on the board, and now heading into the rest of the season, even at the latter portion, it's going to be looking very strong for you guys because this is a huge win. Even as a stand-in, it's still much an impressive victory for everyone involved. So thank you very much, Prophet.
No worries, pleasure.
And we'll see you very much later. As, again, with me and Madden, let's just talk again instantly about the reactions there, because when it came to it, Prophet sounds very comfortable, looked really good on the map. And realistically, though, it was a team effort, because, I mean, MJT on the Jet as well. There was a good pairing between these two players, particularly as well on the flow.
No, it really was. They just, as I said, like... It's really refreshing to hear players that are, you know, comfortable in the leaderboard in the most nicest way, and genuinely it speaks volumes whenever you're so happy to sit back, let your star players shine, but 100% be the oxygen that's lighting that fire.
For sure.
And Prophet very much felt like that, because genuinely, if you'd have talked to me after that meme of the guy like doing the ace in the glass, starting to shake, and him spilling the water over himself,
I don't get nervous. I don't get nervous. I get shaky. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Like, definitely, man. That was, yeah, absolutely incredible stuff.
Well, either way, I think that will wrap up the broadcast today for our NUEL Beacon Final as Oblivion XC walk away are champions. Any parting thoughts, James?
Just congratulations to them. It was an absolute pleasure. Again, commiserations to Meow Gaming, as you've said. It has been an absolute pleasure, the NUEL, for having us. It has been an absolute pleasure casting alongside you, as it always is. I hope it has been an absolute pleasure for everyone at home to be watching. And at the very least, I hope to be on your screens soon, either yelling in your ear or full on cam.
Well, either way, we thank you very much for watching and hope you have a wonderful night's sleep, because I know all these players will need it after today. A very strenuous tournament, a very long one. We finally crowned a champion, but don't worry, we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.